Here is my official Patreon. Please join it because there are many stuffs that I can't share here because of community guidelines. But on my Patreon page, you will get adult Harry stories, Naruto, and Deca 2. Also the quick access for other parts of my story which might take time on YouTube. Also there are many stuffs you will get here. Please consider joining my Patreon. Link in the description.
Hey family, welcome back to my video. Today we will see what if Naruto had real dream hentai with Rias. Before we start, I would like to extend my sincere thanks to the original author of this story for granting us permission to use it in our YouTube video. Your generosity is greatly appreciated. The author's creation and the original story's link in the descriptions. Please do check that first. Now enjoy the video. In the battlefield where the war just finished, never-ending cheers were heard echoing loudly in the whole vicinity. Most people in the battlefield lost their loved ones, their comrades, their friends, yet they were not able to stop their voices from cheering. They screamed out in the very sky for the war that they have won. They never stopped on their celebration. They despaired, they've lost hope, most of them have lost everything, yet they can't help to smile, to laugh in happiness, in relief for having fought a losing war and winning over it. They would commemorate this very moment as the moment where they have won a losing war. Except for a person who spoke amidst the loud and boisterous cheers, he was unconcerned of what had just transpired. He didn't care at what happened. He didn't care if they lost their loved ones, their comrades, their friends. He was unmoved, even after everything has happened. Of course he was relieved, since he was also fighting in the losing war. So after winning it, of course he was also in a state of comfort and relief. But it didn't change his state of mind. He was still the very same person who just wanted to gain his own freedom, the person who wanted to be free from the shackles of fighting, the very binds of the accursed hatred and the bonds of friendship and family. He wished for a future where he would live and start his life away from his past. His voice was clear and emotionless. It was heard in nothing but a monotone voice. Now that this is over, I'm leaving. Despite the thunderous cheering in the whole field, the people who were with him heard him loud and clear. Even if the voice was emotionless, even if it was spoken in monotone, they could feel the firm conviction on the voice. The person who spoke observed every single person who heard him, his father, his mother, his sister, his rival best friend and brother in all but blood, his teacher, his godfather, and his godmother, all of them. Why? His mother cried out in shock. It seems that they thought that he would just leave everything that has happened to him in the past behind. I thought you already forgave us. She stated, the tears were clearly evident as they were starting to appear on her eyes. Yes, I did. He spoke once again, not caring in the cold look he was giving them. They were looking at him and all they could see in his eyes was nothing but a broken look. It was the eyes of someone who suffered in all of his life. It was the look of someone ruined in his whole life. Then, why? His sister asked him. There was anxiety on her voice. She was looking at him straightly, a pleading look was bearing on her face. She wanted to know his reasons. Why does he have to leave? Why couldn't he put everything that has happened to him behind, and why doesn't he want a future with his family? Isn't it obvious? I want to have a future. He stated as he looked upwards while making a grabbing motion towards the air as he closed his eyes. Yes, that's all that he wants. A future where he won't be tied to anyone, he won't care about the past, he won't look at them and he won't be with them. What he wanted was freedom. To be freed from his past where all he had was nothing but suffering and pain. He would start anew. Then, why did you fight with us in the war? I can understand your best friend Sasuke since he wants to be the Hokage, even if he was a missing nin like you. Why did you fight with us in the war then? Isn't it because you want to have a future? His father asked. They really did care about him despite the misgivings they have given to him in the past. He wanted for his son to forgive them so that they would become a whole family again. He would rebuild the bridge that was supposed to be connecting them to him. Every people who were with him were looking at him, waiting for his answer. Even though they fought with him in the war, most of them were still wary of him. He is Naruto Namake's, an S-rank missing nin after all. He's a master sage, a taijutsu fighter, but most of all, he had the ability to fight with nothing but seals. He is a fuinjutsu specialist, a master, a genius, or whatever you would like to call him with. He is in a league of all his own, and that's all because of his seals. Even his mother and father, Kushina Uzumaki and Minato Namake's, who were renowned for their skills on fuinjutsu, were nothing against him. His parents would be like a large bottle of water while he would be a water jug. That means he is really on a league of his own. He was even able to decipher his father's signature move less than 3 days, when his father took a long time to recreate the whole technique. But at that time, he declared that he didn't want to use that technique since it wasn't his. So, even if they fought with him in the duration of the war, he is still a dangerous person. The answer he gave them wasn't what they had expected. They expected him to say something like, "Madara is my enemy," or "I want a future where I am not enslaved," or even, "I want to save my family, friends, or comrades," and even something noble like, "I want to save the world." But he said something that none of them was waiting for. Naruto spoke of nothing but one word. Obligation. That was words that were spoken through the whole battlefield. The whole battlefield was still filled with cheers, yet his words reverberated. While the most ninjas didn't hear him, they could feel his confidence running throughout the place. "What do you mean?" His godfather questioned him. While losing his right arm, Jiraiya was still one of the strongest ninjas in the ninja world. He was one of the sages in the world. While he may not have the complete sage mode, he was still one of them. His presence could be felt as he spoke. Yet, Naruto did not even falter, he just looked at his godfather as he continued. "Just as I said. It was nothing but obligation as a human being that is living in this world, but now that I've saved the world, it doesn't need me anymore. I've repaid my debt with it. That's why I'm leaving." His parents were looking at him with shock that was evident in their eyes. His mother was barely controlling herself on approaching him while his father was giving him a sad look. It seems that he was thinking of what he said, and his sister was tearing up while giving him a pleading look of forgiveness. They all thought that he wanted to die. The people who were with him were looking at him like he was crazy. How would he even leave on this world? He can't be thinking to die now, would he? These were the thoughts that were running on their mind as they gave him an incredulous stare, while one person was thinking about the words he spoke. He thought of every single thing they have done up to this point, when he realized what he was talking about. The person thinking gave a mirthful chuckle as he was hit in the sudden realization at the words the boy spoke. "I've known you for too long, Naruto. So when you speak of leaving this world, I know, you're not thinking to die, am I right? That was why you yourself volunteered to stall Kaguya before we sealed her, you used it on her. You completed it." He spoke. He connected every single piece of the puzzle and hints the boy gave at them from the beginning up to this point. That was why he studied his father's technique, why he took those eyes, why he researched every single one of them. He even implanted those eyes on him. Why he used it on the rabbit goddess. That was all for this moment. He really wanted to start anew. He gave a sympathizing look at the boy who suffered the same pain of loneliness like him. While the boy suffered more than he was, they both knew the pain of loneliness. "As expected of you, Sasuke, you're smarter than me after all." The boy smiled slightly while giving him a respectful look as they stared at each other. They were not flinching in the judging gaze each of them was giving at one another. The two was just looking at each other. Their staring contest was broken when their sensei spoke. "What does he even mean? We don't understand. Explain." Their sensei, Kakashi Hatake, spoke as he pointed towards Sasuke, who discovered the meaning in the Naruto's words. They really wanted to know what he meant by those words. They didn't want him to take a suicidal approach when they just finished fighting in a war. "You all knew that he studied his father's technique, right?" After the crowd gave an affirmative nod, he continued, "But you didn't know that he took Tobi's Mangekyo Sharingan, the one that allows him to travel through his own pocket dimension, Kamui, authority of the gods. He spoke as if he was just talking about the weather. But the crowd was absolutely surprised by the revelation. Weigh it? Every single of them screamed. They didn't expect the Naruto to do something like that. What would he even use the Sharingan for? Then Sasuke continued, he even implanted them as his own. Now they were really astonished by the continuous revelations. The Sharingan was one of the deadliest Dojutsu that ever existed. Now it was implanted on the Naruto. They were really shocked by the non-stop news that was given to them. Then, Kakashi, the Jounin sensei of the two boys spoke, how can he turn it off when I can't even do it? It should not be possible even with his genes. I'm not really sure, I'm guessing it's because he's a sage. He gave a questioning look at Naruto, who just gave a slight nod in assurance. I just tested it though. After testing it, I reimplanted my original eyes. That was a shocker. He was even able to deactivate the Sharingan with ease. Now, Naruto really was a dangerous person. The most wary of him was his father, godfather, godmother and his sensei. His mother and sister were just looking at him with wide eyes. So, how does that explain things? Their sensei continued. While they wanted answers about the Sharingan, what were important right now were the words he had spoken. They really needed to know what he meant. It was his father Minato, who realized by the hints given by Naruto and Sasuke. So that was why you asked for my technique? Minato spoke in a firm and assertive tone. His son was really a genius in sealing, there was no doubt about that. To think that he would try to do something which was thought to be impossible, maybe his son already made it work. But even in that tone his father used, Naruto did not care, he just gave a look that basically means, yes. What you're trying to do is dangerous. I know that I and your mother made you suffer too much, but you don't have to do this. We want to make it up to you, even if you don't forgive us for what we've done. But we care for you, don't do this. Minato spoke loudly in a begging tone. His mother, who was startled by his father's tone, asked. What are you saying? Why are you even saying he doesn't have to forgive us? You don't want him to forgive us? Kushina was shaking while asking about what the boy was talking about. It's better than what he's trying to do. His father cried out at Kushina. Not even caring that he just gave an ear-deafening shout. Minato was slapped by Kushina. Tears were leaking out of her eyes as she started to get angry at the Minato. I can't believe you. He's your son and you don't want his forgiveness? His mother screamed out. Naruto, who was stoic at best and confused at worst, was watching the scene with amusement. He actually get to see his parents fighting. All the time he saw the both of them, they were lovey-dovey to each other no matter where they were. His best friend Sasuke, who was looking at the scene, glanced at him. While he knew Naruto was stoic, he could see the amusement in his eyes. They were brothers after all. Their bond as brothers was stronger than blood, it was even stronger than the bonds Naruto and his sister has. He can read the boy as much as the boy could read him. He definitely saw the amusement in his eyes. He just gave a tired sigh as he looked back at the scene. As usual, he's still waiting for a grand exit. Even though he changed in many ways, that habit will never do so. His parents that were fighting and arguing with each other were being calmed down by the other people, his sister, Jiraiya, Tsunade and Kakashi. Okay, calm down. Jiraiya spoke as he and the others separated Minato and Kushina. His mother was glaring angrily at his father, who was still shocked at the plan Naruto was planning to do so. Now that we've separated the both of you, what are you talking about? His godfather asked. He really wanted to know what his godson Naruto was speaking about. But he knew that the boy won't budge no matter what it is. He just hoped that whatever it wasn't something big. But before the boy's father could speak, the boy's mother interrupted. What he's talking about is he doesn't want our son's forgiveness. Do you know how hard it is for me, for my husband to speak something like that? There was clear rage in her voice as she spoke. She was really furious at Minato, who doesn't even want his son's forgiveness anymore. I told you it's better than what he's trying to do. His father argued back. The two of you should just calm down. His godfather yelled at the both of them. The boy's lips could be seen twitching upwards. He was barely able to control his lips from smiling. His best friend, who was looking at him, just gave him a raised eyebrow, then his friend gave an exasperated sigh. Don't interrupt. His godfather pointed to his mother, who was glaring at his father, scowled at Jiraiya. When she calmed down, his godfather continued. Now, what are you talking about? He asked, looking at the boy's father. He wants to leave this dimension, don't you know how crazy that sounds? His father screamed, making the crowd very much to their own state of unadulterated shock and wide-eye in disbelief. That's not possible, right? His godfather now was worried. While he didn't give him most of his time for the boy, he still cared for the boy as well. He didn't want him to leave this world. I know. But that's what the hints the both of them gave. His father pointed at the Naruto and his best friend. You know that he doesn't want anything that I and his mother have, yet why did he beg for my technique? That was the reason. It's a time-space ninjutsu, for God's sake. Now he has the Kamui, and he probably took Kagaya's ability to travel through dimensions. Being shocked was now nothing but an understatement. They couldn't believe what they've just heard. Did they really hear that he took a power from the rabbit goddess that easily? The only thoughts that were going on their minds were that they didn't believe what Minato was saying. How is it possible for him to take one of Kagaya's ability? His godfather exclaimed. Taking a power from Kagaya wasn't possible. She was a god in terms of power. It took the strength of Naruto and Sasuke, who were the reincarnation of Azura and Indra Otsutsuki, the children of the Sage of Six Paths, just to seal her. Keyword, sealed. They were only able to seal her in the moon, they weren't able to kill her very existence. The whole world watched the both of them fight the goddess. They were beaten bloody and ragged. While the both of them defeated Madara, Uchiha and the Ten Tails, they were barely able to defeat Kagaya. Even in their full strength, they were a mere drop of water compared to the power that Kagaya has. It took many cunning plans and exquisite execution of those strategies in the right position and the right time just to seal her. And Minato was saying that Naruto just took Kagaya's ability. Damn it, Jiraiya, he's a seal master. Don't you understand that? Minato argued back. Sasuke knitted both of his eyebrows in irritation in the never-ending arguments the crowd had. He just gave a defeated expression when he saw Naruto placed a hand on his mouth just to keep himself from being seen with a smile on his face. Naruto was now obviously enjoying the scene that was occurring in front of him. Sasuke was just dead tired, he doesn't want to deal with this shit anymore, and he would just take a rest sooner. He gave a knowing look at Naruto before speaking. So you're leaving, huh? Are you sure what you're planning to do will work? Sasuke asked, breaking the argument that was happening between Naruto and Jiraiya. They now looked at Naruto, waiting for his response. They don't really want Naruto to leave. And leaving dimensions would possibly make him never come back. Naruto, who was asked by Sasuke, just gave him a "who do you think you're talking to" look before he snorted. Yes, it will work, I'm just not sure whether I'll come out of it alive though. Once I've tested it and made out of it alive, modifications should be possible. Sasuke just gave him a nod in acknowledgement before Naruto continued. What will you do now? He asked Sasuke, who just replied. Nothing. Huh? Naruto just gave him a confused look. First, he wants to destroy Konoha, then he wants to become a Hokage, now he wants to do nothing. Sasuke's just as confusing as ever. He thought as he knitted his brows in confusion. Nothing, maybe I'll just explore the world. I don't have a goal anymore. Sasuke explained. He didn't really know what to do in his life. First his brother killed their clan, then he was obsessed with revenge, then he betrayed Konoha for power, he killed Orochimaru, and then he killed Itachi when it was revealed that it was the Hokage and the elders who gave the order to kill the clan. He then have a new goal. It was to kill the Hokage and the elders. After killing the elders, he wanted to destroy Konoha, then he fought against Madara and the Ten Tails, then he fought a god alongside Naruto. After that, he doesn't really have any goal in his life. Do you want to come with me, then? My goal is just to leave this dimension. If I die trying, then I die. I don't really have any dreams anymore. I'm just the same as you. If we leave this world, we die trying to do so. We don't really have anything do after all. Naruto asked his rival curiously. They were brothers in all but blood. They would be protecting each other no matter what. Even though they had their own share of problems, even though the both of them tried to kill each other, it was only because of their problems that they became brothers. That was why they won't abandon each other when they were finally able to fix most of their problems. Sasuke just gave a smirk knowingly at Naruto. No, I'll just explore this world. If I go with you, I know that you're bound to get into trouble. I would rather rest than helping you solve your problems. I'm tired now that I don't have any goal to achieve. He spoke coolly as Naruto just gave a slight smile before continuing. We never change, do we? Naruto sighed. Naruto gave an expressive tone as he continued. I'll be leaving then, knowing you don't have anything do anymore. You'll save this world if it gets into trouble. So if you have problems dealing with it alone, call me. The best friends who were talking were stopped by Kushina, who gave a pleading cry at Naruto. Naruto, please don't do this. Don't leave us. We want you to come back with your family. Ka-san, mother, isn't it easy to see that I don't want to live with you? I already forgave you for what you and Tu-san, father, had done to me. So you don't have to beg to my forgiveness. You can now live in peace without any regrets. Naruto's previous calm aura was replaced with a cold one. His tone was back from the friendly one he used with Sasuke to the emotionless one he was using earlier. Naruto. You won't be leaving. You'll die in the process of trying to leave the dimension. Minato spoke with worry filling his voice. He won't let his son leave this world only to die in the process. He still had many regrets, especially the regret of leaving his son to suffer in pain and loneliness. Naruto, I was alone like you, I was an orphan, but I've found a family in Konoha. The same could be said to you. You won't be alone anymore, you'll have your family with you. Just don't leave. Unexpectedly, it was not Naruto who gave a reply, it was his best friend Sasuke. Yondaime, you do not know what you're talking about. You know nothing of the pain brought by loneliness. Your loneliness pales in comparison to what I and Naruto had felt in our lives. Sasuke spoke coldly, making the crowd shiver in the tone he used. It was a tone filled with darkness and anger. Anger at the fact that Minato compares the loneliness he felt when he was an orphan at the loneliness the two boys felt. That's not true. He was an orphan. He was the same as Naruto and Sasuke, who grew up as an orphan in most of their lives. Sasuke's parents died at the hands of his brother when he was at an early age, and Naruto didn't even know his parents until he was 13. Yes, it is. He finished as he glared at Minato, who was only giving a worried look at Naruto. Naruto, who was looking at them, turned around and he just started to walk at Sasuke's direction when he was restrained by his mother, who was hugging him tightly. Naruto, don't leave. Please. Kushina could do nothing but cry as she held Naruto, who was trying to leave. Naruto just pushed Kushina away forcefully before heading towards Sasuke's direction. Naruto suddenly felt a strong tug on his back as he saw a flash of yellow behind him, only to see Minato grabbing him. Naruto, you're coming back with us. You're not leaving this world. Minato declared at him. Sasuke dashed forward towards Naruto and Minato as he released Susanoo, tempestuous god of valor, making the crowd feel the humongous power that was bursting out from Sasuke. Minato released his hold of Naruto as he was punched by the arm in Sasuke's Susanoo. He flew backwards at the crowd's position, making them wary that there was a small skirmish currently happening right now. They saw Sasuke, who had his Susanoo released, besides Naruto, who has his back turned that looks like he's preparing something. Jiraiya and Minato approached the two, faster than most ninjas. They didn't hold back at all, since this boy was one of the people who were strong enough to hold himself and win against Madara. Jiraiya dashed at Sasuke while preparing an Udama Rasengan, big ball spiraling sphere, in his right hand as he dashed at the boy's position. Minato threw many of his tri-pronged kunai as a distraction, which Sasuke just easily batted away with the right arm of his Susanoo. Jiraiya slammed the Udama Rasengan at Sasuke, only to be blocked and repelled by his impenetrable defense. Seeing that Sasuke won't easily budge, Minato used his Hiraishin, Flying Thunder God, in a series of numerous flashes of yellow directed at Sasuke's direction, trying to surprise Sasuke to reach Naruto. Minato knows that Naruto was now preparing his technique to travel other dimensions. He needed to stop Naruto before he completes the process. But Sasuke was able to thwart the both of them. He used the whole Susanoo as defense against the flashing attacks of Minato as he delayed them while he saw Naruto was preparing. Of course he would be able to do so. Right now, Naruto Namikaze and Sasuke Uchiha were the strongest ninja of this era. Even the Toad Sage and the Yellow Flash won't be able to do anything against one of the people who defeated Madara Uchiha and the Rabbit Goddess, Kaguya Otsutsuki. Naruto. Stop what you're doing right now. Naruto was now preparing for the dimension-traveling technique that he created with the use of the time-space ninjutsu, Kamui, and Kaguya's dimension-traveling ability. They were not able to penetrate Sasuke's Susanoo. He was standing there, an immovable object that cannot be budged no matter what happens. He was preventing them from reaching Naruto and stopping him from unleashing his technique. After the moment that seemed like forever, they saw Naruto, who was sitting still, standing up. He had the marks of Sage Mode. He was clearly planning on using the natural energy that surrounds the world for his technique. The sensors among the crowd could feel enormous amounts of nature chakra inside of his body being pushed to the seal he created. The seal was created with a permanent ink from his pouch so that the seal would not deteriorate. He even placed numerous permanent seals around the sealing circle so that the seal and the ground would be suspended in a timeless space. He grabbed 2 vials inside of his pouch, one with the blood and another one with an unknown chemical. He bit his right thumb as he spread his blood on the sealing circle he created in the ground. Sasuke was getting irritated for how long Naruto was taking his time with. He asked in an irritated tone, "Aren't you finished yet?" Right now, he was standing tall and firm. None of other ninjas were approaching now. Even Naruto's parents could only watch on what he was doing. They weren't able to move Sasuke away from Naruto. The only remaining option they had now was to convince Naruto to stop what he was doing. "Not yet, Sasuke. Just be patient and don't kill them. There, now it's done." Naruto spoke in reply at Sasuke, who just grunted back mockingly. He didn't really want to do this. Naruto would now owe him one. He just wanted to sleep and regain his strength, but instead, since Naruto wanted a grand exit, he had to prevent others from reaching Naruto. He saw Naruto pulled the cork of the 2 vials as he made a single drop of the both vials fall of the sealing circle Naruto created. The single drop of the liquid inside the vials made the sealing circle sizzle so hard it could be heard in the whole crowd. After pouring a single drop of both vials, he placed them back on his pouch and then he made numerous hand seals, and the moment he finished he slammed his right hand in the sealing circle. He spoke. Fuinjutsu, Musijin no Kamui. Unlimited authority of gods. The crowd watching could only give him looks of awe and amazement as they saw the sealing circle changed from the circle to a black hole similar to the one being made by the Kamui. The black hole of deep space was just there as he stood up, leveling his look at Sasuke, who was just smirking at him. Sasuke reached out his hand, making a bump fist action which Naruto returned back as he smiled at his brother. No words were needed now, since they were brothers who understood each other's words and actions. The moment of stupor was broken by Naruto's sister, who screamed at Naruto. "Otuto! Little brother, don't leave me, please." Naruto could see her crying as she was sobbing non-stop while looking at him with obvious plea in her eyes. Yet, Naruto did not stop. He simply looked at her before turning back in the black hole. He turned towards Sasuke and gave him one final sentence. "If you want any help when you save this world next time it gets into trouble, the seal will be in the place where the light and darkness met and part ways." He finished as he motioned himself to walk towards the black hole in the ground. He observed the crowd as he was walking towards Sasuke. He saw his peers such as Shikamaru, Chuji, and Sai giving him a nod of acknowledgement. He also saw Gaara giving him a smile that was saying a simple goodbye. He saw his sensei Kakashi, his godmother Tsunade, and his godfather giving him a sad look that says, "I'm sorry." Lastly, he saw his family crying. His father was depressed as he gave him a sad look, his mother was begging for forgiveness and was saying that she doesn't want Naruto to leave, and he saw his sister with the stubborn pleading look as she screamed, "Otuto! I love you, please don't leave me alone. Come back, please." His sister was crying out as she made a reaching motion towards Naruto's direction, only to see Naruto speaking before he fell down to the black hole. "I see. I'm leaving, Nei-san. Goodbye." After Naruto fell down, the black hole changed from the black hole of deep space back to the ceiling circle, and then a prism of various colors surrounded the circle. She wept endlessly as she saw Naruto falling down on the black hole. Her cries were heard in the whole battlefield. She was sprawled in the ground with her eyes so red from the tears that were continuously leaking out of her eyes. Jiraiya and Tsunade could do nothing but comfort her from her loss. They knew that she loved Naruto, not as a brother but as a man. They knew that she loves Naruto wholeheartedly and she was expecting it in return. But right now, she was only broken-hearted by the man she loves, her brother who did not return the love she was expecting. Minato and Kushina, who regained their strength and stopped themselves from being depressed any further, approached Sasuke, who had no longer had his Susanoo activated. Kushina was full of anger as she asked him angrily, "Why did you not stop him?" Sasuke was just looking at her with nothing but a blank gaze, which only irritated Kushina even further. "I'm asking you, why didn't you do anything to stop him?" she asked as she grabbed Sasuke and she shook him forcefully. Minato was trying to calm down. Kushina also looked at Sasuke, waiting for his answer. His family was broken now. There was nothing but a slim chance of getting Naruto back. If his theory about dimensions were correct, it was possible that there were countless dimensions that exist in the whole universe. So determining the place where Naruto will wound up would be downright impossible. Sasuke just pushed Kushina away before giving his answer. "I didn't stop him because I understand him best, even better than the three of you, his family, and all of you." He pointed his finger at every people Naruto knew. "And if there was someone who really understood Naruto in all of you." He motioned himself as he looked at the crowd before pointing at Gaara, "It would be you, Gaara. You knew why Naruto left." He stated as he gave an understanding look at Gaara, who just gave an assertive nod in return. Yeah, Naruto was really broken. He wanted to get away from his past. I understand that. His life was even more miserable than mine. I was a Jinchuriki and he wasn't. Yet, he was discriminated as one. That was why he wanted to leave. Even if he forgave every single one of you, the mental wounds and scars every single of you had given to him will never disappear. They will be buried in his broken heart forever. While it can be mended, it will never be erased, it will be etched in his heart for as long as he lives. Gaara spoke in a sad tone as he remembered the one who saved him from the pain and loneliness of being a Jinchuriki. His family and the ninjas from Konoha were ashamed of what they've done. What Gaara stated was right, they had no way of rebutting what was said to them. His parents were now comforting their sleeping daughter who cried for losing Naruto. They really did mess up. After that, the ninjas of their own respective villages cleaned up the sickening state of the battlefield. Many of their comrades fell during the war. They would honor and respect them for the deeds they made during the war. They would mourn for them. At this moment on, the Fourth Shinobi World War has truly ended, and a world of lasting peace in the ninja world was finally achieved. Scene break. The moment Naruto was conscious again, he opened up his eyes. He saw nothing but an endless void, a void where in every direction, many mixes of iridescent colors was in the void. It was like looking through an endless kaleidoscope of abstract colors. There was literally nothing here. No sign of life, no sign of other objects except rocks and those weird giant stone statues floating in the void. Where am I? Did the seal failed? That shouldn't be possible. I checked the seal many times before I activated it. Naruto thought with a distraught expression. By using the crushed Kamui Mangekyo Sharingan and mixing them with purified Uchiha blood, I would have a catalyst for opening up the dimension, and the seal was built with intricate and complex array of seals about time-space. And with the help of Kagaya's ability, I would be able to travel through the dimension, and by using the natural energy of the world, I would have enough energy to activate the seal, and my body, which is still using Sage mode, would survive the process of traveling from one dimension to another. Does this mean that there was something wrong with the seal? Maybe I went wrong somewhere. Naruto's thoughts continued thinking while he was in the endless void, where a large looming voice spoke, startling Naruto. How did a human get in here? You shouldn't even be alive in the gap. Naruto looked towards the direction where the voice spoke. What he saw made him eye-wide in shock. His stoic demeanor was broken, and he was absolutely shocked by the massive red dragon with a pointy horn in its snout and a large span of wings. Naruto deduced that the dragon's whole size would be about 100 meters. It was even larger than the Nine Tails. This was a being with immense strength and unstoppable power. Instinctively, he knew that he didn't have any chance against this dragon, even with the Six Paths chakra flowing through him. He knew that he won't be able to do anything against the dragon. Even his most notable and destructive seals won't deal any damage on the dragon. At best only a scratch could be done against the dragon, and at worst, it would only tickle the dragon. Right now, he did not want a massive dragon that would kill him, so he stopped himself from taking any risky actions, and he just looked at the massive dragon. He could feel the intimidating presence of the dragon. This being is even stronger than Kagaya, who they barely defeated. This being could destroy him easily in nothing but a flick of finger. Naruto saw the scrutinizing look the dragon was giving him. I see, so that's how. This is the main reason why I am in the dimensional gap, to stop the inhabitants of the other dimension from reaching the other dimension. Now, I asked you a question. What's your name and how did you get here? Based on what the dragon said, he is probably a guardian or something that prevents someone from entering the other dimension. Naruto thought as he looked at the dragon, trying to judge it as he gave a frustrated sigh. Naruto relented and he told the dragon the truth. He was sweating nervously while thinking of the pros and cons of telling the truth at the dragon. But he didn't want to lie against a dragon that could eat him, kill him, or whatever he wanted. So he just spoke the truth and he waited for the dragon's reaction. The name's Naruto Uzumaki and I came here from the ninja world. I used a sealing circle I created specifically to travel other dimensions. He spoke emotionlessly while beads of sweat could be easily seen since they were very visible. The nervousness and fear Naruto was giving could be felt by the dragon who was judging Naruto. If you came here by accident, I would have just sent you back where you belong, but since you came here intentionally, give me a reason why I would not kill you right now. The dragon asked. His looming voice made Naruto's nervousness show. Naruto was already taking a fighting stance while preparing against the massive red dragon that was in front of him. While he didn't want to die, he wouldn't die without any fight at all. I don't have any reason I could give to prevent you from killing me, but I could give the reason why did I leave in the first place. I just wanted to leave my dimension so that I could achieve my dream. Naruto spoke while waiting for his impending doom. He was just delaying the dragon while thinking of any plan that would allow him to escape in the endless void. The dragon, who knew Naruto's intention, did nothing to stop him. The dragon just continued to give him another question. The dragon was sating his curiosity on the human who arrived in the dimensional gap when it shouldn't be possible to do so. What is your dream then? This is the final question. If you do not satisfy me, I kill you, and if you do satisfy me, who knows? The dragon asked. He could easily read any lie that the human would give, and he already knew the human's dream anyway. He is the representation of dreams and illusion after all. He just wanted the words to come outside the human's mouth. Naruto just closed his eyes and was waiting for the dragon's verdict as he spoke his dream. I want to be freed from the shackles of my past by starting a new life that I would pave myself so that I will create my own future. He poured all of his feelings as he spoke his dream, knowing that he might die in the endless void. Naruto smiled inwardly as he thought. At least I was able to voice out my dream before I die. He gave bright smile as his dream was spoken through his mouth. He waited for the dragon to kill him, eat him, or maybe even incinerate him, or whatever the dragon could think of, but it didn't came. He opened his eyes only to see the dragon looking at him, in a calculative and thinking pose that coincidentally looked like Shikamaru's thinking pose. The dragon then looked at Naruto directly, bringing his face closely to Naruto. The pointy and sharp horn attached to the dragon's snout was only centimeters away from Naruto's face. He was now close to hyperventilating. His thoughts was nothing but, I would be eaten by the huge dragon. But the dragon did something he didn't expect. It laughed. Yes, the dragon laughed, rather boisterously in fact. Ha 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 ha. A dream filled with so much conviction as yours, I welcome it. In fact, you have my blessings, boy. Many dreams I have felt, encountered, and seen was not as determined as yours. The dragon told him gleefully with a delightful expression that never left the dragon's face. It was like the dragon is in a state of joy from the dream he heard. Huh? He just tilted his head since he didn't understand whatever the dragon said to him. I just told him my dream and then his presence changed from deadly to cheerful. What the hell? Naruto thought as he pondered about whatever the dragon was talking about, but nothing came to him. You're wondering about what I said, boy. Since you introduced yourself, I do so myself. I am Great Red, the dragon who represents dreams and illusions. The dragon, now named Great Red, introduced himself at Naruto, who was just looking at him, flabbergasted and greatly astonished. And I am glad to see a dream full of conviction and pureness. I have seen your memories, boy, and to see a dream such as yours wanting to be fulfilled, how could I not laugh? The dragon looked at him with eyes of understanding and sympathy that Naruto knew he had seen in the dragon's eyes. That's why, live to achieve your dream. I will only give you my blessings. It will be up to your hard work and determination to fulfill your own dream. Those words echoed in Naruto's head as he started to lose consciousness. He was barely hanging on, with his mind still able to see the dragon but hazily as his eyesight was starting to blur. But before he completely loses consciousness, he muttered quietly. Thanks, Red-san. The boy was now unconscious when Great Red opened up black void in the dimensional gap where he would throw the boy. But before he threw the boy, he spoke one last thing. By bringing you to the other side, there will be grave consequences, but I want to see you achieve your dream, so you owe me one, boy. He threw Naruto towards the place where the black void was forming. When Naruto reached the void, it looked like he was being eaten by the black space. After a few seconds, he was now gone and Great Red was no longer there to be seen. Author's note: this is a new FIC that formed from an idea inside of my head. In this FIC, Naruto and Sasuke did not fight a final battle against one another after they defeated Kaguya. And Naruto is a seal master in this FIC. That's all I'm giving as of now. I'll be giving a profile about Naruto sooner so that you guys could see his abilities. I'll continue the story if there would be enough reviews on how to improve the story. Thanks a lot. Don't forget to fave and follow as well. Thanks. I hope you guys enjoyed this. Answer to one's question. Author's note. I did not thought that this FIC would be well received by some of you guys. First of all, I'd like to thank you guys who have followed, and reviewed the first chapter of the story. It really motivated me to make the next chapter. I appreciate the reviews, especially those that contained information and constructive reviews. It really helps. Secondly, to those who are somehow miffed, confused and pissed about the fact that Naruto is weaker than Great Red, I purposely made it that way. You guys should know that I'm with you as well when it comes to Naruto being stronger than any beings of the DxD universe, but let's face the power levels rationally. The moment the 4th war ended, Naruto could probably destroy many continents with his destructive techniques. But in the DxD, Drake himself stated that he could destroy the whole world with only his brute force. Naruto can't do that, maybe the last movie Naruto or Boruto movie Naruto, I'm not sure. But 4th war Naruto, I don't think so, continents, maybe, but the whole world, meh. Going back to the subject, Drake said that he can destroy the whole world himself if he wanted, yet he was not the ranked one in the top 10 strongest beings in the DxD universe. Of course, Drake was talking about his strength when he was on his prime and he was not sealed, and it was stated that Great Red was even stronger than Ophis, who was at rank 1 of the list. If Drake can destroy the whole world yet he is not ranked 1, then what about Ophis, who is ranked 1? Especially, Great Red, who was known for being the strongest being in the whole universe even though he doesn't fight at all. So how strong is Great Red? No one knows exactly. That is why some of the fics are weakening Great Red, or they thought Great Red was weaker than Naruto, because they don't have any data on him and they don't know Great Red's full capability. But in here, I've made a speculation that if Great Red and Trihexa, 666, were to fight each other, the whole universe would probably be destroyed. Make no mistake, I enjoyed those fics where Naruto was so OP, he was even stronger than Great Red. But I've made my Naruto to be weaker than Great Red and to be still stronger than most characters so that it would satisfy you guys. And he would still be in the top 10 strongest beings along with Sasuke. But he can't take on Great Red, at least in my FIC. I have a plan for Great Red as well. Anyway, that's my explanation. If you guys can't accept that, either don't read this FIC, or just think that I've made Great Red stronger than ever. Thirdly, those who are annoyed, angry at my statement of Kaguya being weaker than Great Red, the same explanation as above, Great Red is the strongest being in DxD universe. Do you think that he's just gonna sit still while Kaguya uses her all-killing ash bones against him? I think not. Even if Great Red was an easy target because he was big, he would probably have some counter against sure-kill techniques. He is not the strongest being for nothing after all. Just like my earlier suggestion, if you guys can't accept that, you guys should either think that I've made Great Red stronger or just don't read this FIC. Lastly, those who are making a fuss over Great Red's size, I'm sorry about the fact that I stated Great Red being larger than the 10 tails. That was wrong, I admit, so I changed the 10 tails in the chapter 1 to 9 tails, so him being bigger than Kurama. I think that's just correct. How? I used the Attack on Titan as my size reference. Some of the guys over the internet are arguing about Kurama's real size since he was split into half by Minato, blah blah blah. But if you guys remember when Obito released Kurama from Kushina's seal, he was complete. He did not have his yin or yang chakra split, so that should be his full size. Gamabunta was only a little bit smaller than Kurama. Gamabunta even pounced at Kurama, so I don't think Gamabunta would exceed 60 meters, and since Kurama was just slightly bigger than him, Kurama is probably about 70 to 80 meters. That's my reasoning. Next, Chris, thanks for the review. Regarding about Naruto not being a Jinchuriki, it would be explained in this chapter, though his whole past would be revealed little by little. SKG 1991, the profile about Naruto would probably be posted after chapter 4 or 5 where the story is starting to develop and you guys would know some of his abilities so that you guys won't be confused. Moss 2009, the reason I brought Naruto's parents was that because they were needed for Naruto's character development. Windy City Slayer 1, regarding the pairing, I already have a planned pairing or pairings, whatever you guys think for him, though I would not be mentioning anything. Once again, I thank you guys for the follows, and reviews, and I hope you guys continue on doing so. If you guys have any questions, PM it to me or post it as reviews, I'll answer it in the next chapter. Disclaimer, I don't own anything. Without any more explanation, Chapter 2, start. P.S. I've made this into a first-person point of view. Though, there would be occasional third-person point of views. Chapter 2, the answer to one's question. I stifled a groan as I regained my consciousness. My whole body was aching in pain and I could feel a throbbing pang of hatred in my mind as I moved my body, trying to stand up from my sprawled-up position in the ground. I could understand the pain from my sore and broken body which just traversed from one dimension to another. The process should have even decimated my whole body in the process, which surprisingly doesn't. But I don't understand the heavy feeling of irritation and anger. I wouldn't even have this feelings normally, but right now, I'm sure that this emotion is really anger. I wanted to lash out against something and preferably someone. However, I held my body forcibly to stop that from happening. My body was convulsing harshly. I even used a binding seal to somehow stop my body and try to calm it down. After my whole body cooled off and I began to relax, I could feel a tingling sensation pricking my skin, making me shiver slightly. My whole body was sitting still and I started to draw the nature energy lingering in the atmosphere. In an instant, I could feel the sage marks started to appear and the gathered nature energy was balanced inside of my body. It was then that I realized the overflowing hatred and bitterness seeping from the nature. And I gathered them inside my body. No wonder I was feeling anger and overwhelming hatred. The nature was using my body as a medium since it was accustomed to gather nature energy. No wonder I was feeling irritated earlier, and the prickling sensation all over my body. The nature energy was trying to find a good medium to use so that nature would be able to vent its anger towards the world. Any normal sage that would have gathered this nature energy would probably go mad and be driven insane without any coherent thoughts. They would not even realize that nature was using their body as a way to lash out from the beings who were continuing to destroy the nature. To describe the nature energy at this place in simple words, it's tainted, it's corrupted, it's foul, but most of all, it's dangerous, especially for those who are attempting to gather nature energy without any practice and training. Fortunately, I am a master, so I am able to regulate this surprisingly more potent nature energy and purify them. I felt disgusted at the feeling of regulating the nature energy. By being a master, I can feel the damage that has been done towards nature and I could see vivid images running through my mind as I saw uncountable means on how this world treats nature. I could do nothing but be sickened on how nature was being handled, mostly by humanity in this dimension. They were polluting the air by smoke and unpurified air chemicals. The bodies of water, which are spread throughout the whole globe, was polluted by garbage, trash and dangerous liquidized chemicals that can kill anything living in the waters. The countless trees and bountiful forests in this world was being cut and not even replaced. Even the land itself was deteriorating so fast I can feel the earth's soil becoming hard and brittle. This world is approaching its death faster than it was supposed to be, and no one is even doing anything about it. Those who do so are being half-assed on it. But by seeing the nature's treatment, I was also able to saw the state of technology in this world. I saw countless vehicles used for traveling long distances, some were even used to travel air itself. I would have been in a state of awe if not for the fact that these vehicles were destroying the world. But what made me curious was the fact that I sense humanity in this world did not have any chakra at all. Though, the only reason why we, the humans from the elemental nation, could use chakra was because the sage of 6 paths himself spread out the chakra through a practice called ninshu, but humanity just trampled on his hopes and made the ninshu into ninjutsu, a weapon of war. Yeah, you're right about that. You humans squashed Father's dream of peace. I heard a snort inside of my head as I was halted from my thoughts. The voice was probably aggravated from my comment earlier about ninshu. This guy inside of my mind is the Sage of Six Paths child after all. Azura Otsutsuki, the ancestor of the Senju and Uzumaki clans. Unfortunately for me, his voice is something that would never leave my head until the moment the life in me is snuffed out. Do you really have to be a jerk just like that? Azura cried out in disbelief as shrug him off while thinking of him as nothing but an annoyance, which unfortunately for me is something true. Be like that, you moron. Of course, I would be like this. You didn't even thank me when I saved your siblings and decided to put extra voices in my head so that you won't be alone. I held back a low growl as the voice inside of me retorted back. You would have taken them anyway since you do anything for a new power. I felt insulted at his words, but I didn't even deny them. Why should I, when it was nothing but the truth? Denying so would just be contradicting my very self. Azura asked no one in particular. You don't even accept peace, so why did you have to be my reincarnation? With your power-hungry tendencies, you should have been Indra's reincarnation instead. At least Hashirama was an okay person in my book. I accept peace, you moron. But what you're talking about is different. My reasons are justified. I did not rebut the power-hungry tendencies he was talking since it was true, though the keyword is was. By becoming the strongest ninja besides Sasuke in elemental nations, I have no drive in pursuing further strength any longer. Yeah, what I'm talking about is different, but it is still peace. And no, there's no justification at all. You're just being a child throwing a tantrum. Azura himself knew as well that I am no longer trying to find power since I was already one of the strongest being in the world, so he didn't mention anything about that. Whatever, just go back to sleep with your siblings and I'll just purify the forest of the taint. I hope you realize how wrong you are. Even though they have wronged you, they wanted to do nothing more than to make amends, but before they could, you leave them in the dust, making them wallow in regret and sorrow. Though, I agree with you in purifying the forest, I feel dirty. Clean up the place as soon as possible. Azura replied before cutting our connection off. He was probably going back to sleep or possibly annoy one of his siblings who were also inside of my head, sleeping. How wrong am I, huh? I looked in the blue sky as I gave a loose sigh. I could still hear his words echoing through my whole mind, repeating endlessly. I know I am wrong, but I have and will always have a firm belief of forgiving someone, yet not giving them any second chances, and only those people who are being used and manipulated by others should be given one. Just like with Sasuke, he was manipulated by his brother ever since the Uchiha clan massacre. Just like with Obito, who was manipulated by Madara and become nothing but a pawn. Lastly me, who was manipulated by the third Hokage to become a weapon for Konoha. While I know he loved me just as a true grandson, he also wanted to tie me down to Konoha, and by my father who just used me as a bait for Madara to think that I was a Jinchuriki by announcing me as one at my birth when I was not one, and there's nothing more I hate than being used. If I didn't go with Sasuke and Orochimaru when they decided to revive the past Hokages, I wouldn't have known the truth. Flashback. I was observing in the sidelines as I saw Itachi and Sasuke fighting Kabuto inside the cave where Kabuto was controlling the undead shinobis by using the S-rank Kenjutsu, Kuchios, Edo Tensei, summoning, impure world resurrection. Truth to be told, I think that Kabuto is truly a genius when it comes to being Orochimaru's apprentice. He was able to summon many ninjas, most of them were famous and even some were in the Kage level. Normally, I wouldn't even bat an eyelash on whoever insults me, but I spat a mocking insult the moment I heard Kabuto spouting some nonsense about achieving a perfect sage mode. You call that creepy transformation of yours a complete sage mode? Bullshit. I was sneering at him when he looked at me, a little flabbergasted and surprised that I was there. The guy was not even able to sense me when I was just laid down in the sidelines with my left hand cupping my head as I was watching them fight it all out. But it was understandable since I was using a unique sage technique where I blend my chakra with the outer nature energy, allowing myself to take the presence as the same as the lingering nature chakra in the atmosphere, which meant that I was just there with the same aura of nature, something that would make go unnoticed by everyone except those who are masters adept in using nature energy. I would have just ignored Fim if not for the fact that he mentioned that disgusting appearance of his as a perfect sage mode. That's not one, it's just an imperfect one, like the one Jiraiya uses. But this one is even uglier though. The guy was deluded too much that he thought he was a complete sage. As far as I recall, there are currently 5 people who became complete sages. These people were the Sage of 6 Paths, Azura Otsutsuki, Hashirama Senju, Minato Namikaze, and lastly, me. Most of the other sages before and after the Warring States era were all incomplete. For them to become complete, they must have an affinity with nature itself, and since people having an affinity with nature is scarce, they would only be able to use senjutsu through the incomplete sage mode, but by using it, they would either need the cooperation of their summons or either gather the nature energy, but they would have parts of their body changed into one that is of animals. My trail of thoughts was stopped when I heard a dark voice coming from Sasuke, interrupting me in my memory lane. It seems that he didn't like being forced to stop in fighting or something like that. Naruto, need I to remind you that me and Itachi are currently fighting him, and don't even try to intervene in our fight. I want answers from Itachi. Sasuke spoke as he admonished me with a stern tone in his voice. Hi. Just finished it as soon as possible, we were only here at first because you wanted answers from Itachi, I didn't think that you would be fighting Kabuto right there. I just shrugged off his scolding as I diluted my presence in the nature energy coating the whole cavern. I gathered the nature energy instantly, making my presence the same as nature, allowing it to disappear. After 8 hours, which was actually less than 20 minutes, Sasuke and Itachi defeated Kabuto by placing him in an endless loop of a genjutsu that could only be broken by Kabuto if he decided to accept himself. The technique was called Izanami or something like that. While I could replicate the technique, instead of being a S-rank technique, it would most likely become a B rank or probably C rank since the technique needed to be powered up by the Sharingan. And since I didn't have that, it would be nothing but a rip-off technique supplemented by a weak genjutsu. And since genjutsu is not really one of my fortes, I decided it would be nothing but a bother. Itachi was starting to disappear into bits of light when he stared at me with a knowing look. Naruto, thanks for taking care of Sasuke. He gave a slight nod of acknowledgement at my direction as I gave out my reply. No problem, I'd do anything for a friend. Since I only have 3 people that I could truthfully call a friend and one of them is this guy. Most are nothing but acquaintances. I gave a respecting nod at him as I placed my arm on Sasuke's shoulder, in which Sasuke just gave a rasp, completely annoyed. Itachi just smiled at my action, though I can see in his eyes looking at me in pity. He also knew of my predicament of not being actually a Jinchuriki. He was one of my ANBU guards when I was a child after all. He was always looking out for me whenever I would be in danger. I totally respect him, though I can't exactly say that we were friends. Sasuke was my best friend since no one can understand my pain besides him. We were both used and manipulated by many people. And we were also rivals when we were both children. Haku, the boy I met when Team 7 went to a mission in the wave. He gave me the philosophy and belief that I would become stronger if I had something or someone I truly want to protect. Guessed that. He was right. Though, I don't know where he is now. As far as I know, they left after we defeated and killed Gato and removed the tyranny reigning over the wave country. Lastly, Gaara, the 5th Kazekage of Tsunagakure. After I saved him from loneliness of being a Jinchuriki and being captured by Akatsuki, we became friends, and whenever I needed something useless, he always helps me out, even though I was a missing nin that is the top priority to be captured by Konoha. Apparently, he cared more for his friend rather than alliances. I saw Itachi looking directly at Sasuke in the eye as he started speaking to him. Just like how Danzo and Tobi explained it to you. Everything they said was true. Let me show it to you. The moment he said that, I knew Sasuke was wrapped inside a genjutsu after he spoke those words. I don't know what Sasuke saw in the genjutsu, but when it was finished, I can see that he was really speechless at what he just witnessed. I have always lied to you, since I did not want to get you involved, but if I had faced you from the start, maybe you could have changed father and mother. You would have changed the Uchiha. But I failed. I won't put myself above you and tell you this or that, it's already too late. So this time for once, let me tell you one small truth. It's alright even if you never forgive me, but no matter what happens and no matter what kind of person you become. Itachi grabbed Sasuke's head gently as he connected the both of their foreheads as he looked at Sasuke in the eye before speaking his last words. I will always love you. After Itachi's last words were spoken, I saw him disappearing with a smile on his face before he disappeared in bits of white light and the body used for him turned to dust. Sasuke was just standing there completely stupefied. His body was completely still, and if he was a sage, he would have drained the nature energy in the cave. I held back a groan at that bad pun of mine. I was always bad in making puns, yet I still make them. Naruto, what is a clan? Sasuke asked me with the hopes that I have the answer. Unfortunately I do not. Yet he still continued. What is a shinobi? It seems that this meeting with Itachi left Sasuke with nothing but questions which even I cannot answer. I was broken just like him. Right now, he is lost, he doesn't have any answers to any of his questions, and I do not have any answers to any of my questions as well. I was completely alone, walking in a path which is surrounded by nothing but darkness. The only light visible was the one ending in my path. Yet, I do not give up. My life might have been nothing but a sham. But until I've walked this path, I will not waver. I will accomplish my dream or die trying. So, Sasuke, do not give up. Try to find your answers and move forward. Sasuke, the top of the cavern where Sasuke was standing started to crumble before falling down on him. Sasuke dodged the rubbles falling on him as light reached the cave, then we heard a loud voice, accompanied by two people who was visible after that part of the cavern gave in. We saw Suigetsu and Yugo coming out of the hole of the cave. Found you. Suigetsu's voice echoed in the whole cave. Sasuke and I were just sitting there while Suigetsu continued to talk. Suigetsu saw Kabuto, who was just standing there, unconscious, and rushed towards his direction, and judging by his face, he's really grossed out in Kabuto's appearance. That's why his proclamation of being a complete sage is bullshit. The disgusting form of him is nothing but a fake. How could he be complete when his body changed dramatically? This thing coming out from his stomach looks like a big. I groaned in annoyance as I realized what Suigetsu was trying to say. Luckily, Sasuke stopped him and we heard Yugo spoke. Sasuke, Naruto, this woman is alive. Oh, so Anko was still alive. I thought that Kabuto would have killed her already. I didn't know why Kabuto left her like that. I looked at Yugo's direction and saw an unconscious Anko along with her battered body, taking a beating from Kabuto, obviously. Sasuke spoke darkly at the two newcomers as he questioned them. What could the two of you want from me now? Sasuke just treated them as nothing but people to be used and thrown away. I'm not in any position to argue, seeing that I also did that before. Did you really spend all this time looking for me? He motioned his hand towards them as he looked at Yugo and Suigetsu's direction before Suigetsu answered. Yep. By the way, we found one hell of a hideout. Yugo was approaching us with Anko's unconscious body was slung on his right shoulder. He spoke as he was making his way towards us. You guys said that Itachi stopped Kabuto's Edo Tensei, right? After Sasuke nodded, the words Yugo spoke of left us shocked. But the Edo Tensei on the man named Madara hasn't been released. Madara Uchiha's Edo Tensei still hasn't stopped, which means that he was still moving, fighting in the war happening right now. Unless the Alliance had Hashirama on their side, they're just delaying the inevitable. Though it might be possible for my sister to stop Madara, she have a sliver chance of stopping him, but defeat him, no way that's possible. I see. So he's still moving. Sasuke spoke darkly as he recollected his thoughts on whatever he's thinking earlier. Suigetsu yelled at Yugo comically, and then he reached out on his long sleeve and held out a black scroll at Sasuke, who just raised an eyebrow at the scroll held out in front of him. Sasuke opened the black scroll as he started to read the contents written. Yugo was quiet, and curiously, I took a peek and it left me in surprise at the sudden revelation. To think that Orochimaru. Suigetsu exclaimed loudly as he spoke. Awesome, right? We can use this and Taka, Hawk, will be able to rule the entire war. Suigetsu stopped speaking when we heard Sasuke spoke. This is it. That left us in confusion. I even tilted my head sideways when I heard his words. What did he mean? He's not planning on using that, right? His words left me in a state of worry and confusion. While I can read Sasuke as well as he can read me, even I don't know what he's planning when he's brooding like that. He knows everything. Sasuke just stood up as he continued. There's someone I have to meet now. Sasuke, who? I asked, even if I already knew the answer. He's planning on finding Orochimaru, even though he already killed him. The question in my mind is how to meet Orochimaru when he's already dead. It might be possible if Sasuke would use the Edo Tensei, but I know Sasuke won't use that vile technique, no matter what happens. Orochimaru. Why are you asking when you already know the answer, Naruto? Sasuke looked at me, but I just raised my shoulders slightly, shrugging off his inquiry. He didn't bother me anymore as Suigetsu just asked in disbelief. What are you two talking about? You already killed Orochimaru's ass, haven't you, Sasuke? You know that man is so resilient, he won't die easily. Sasuke spoke as he looked at the cursed seal in Anko's neck. I see. So that's how he plans to. A chip of Orochimaru's soul is embedded in every single cursed seal he created. By extracting that soul, Orochimaru would obviously come back to life. I have questions that need answers, and only that bastard knows how these questions can be answered. The clan, the village, I need answers in my questions. What? This makes no sense. Suigetsu just mumbled under his breath, trying to understand how Sasuke's complicated thinking works. Suigetsu, you underestimate Orochimaru too much. Sasuke spoke to him. Orochimaru was a man who was known to pursuing immortality. Does he really think that the bastard would just die like that? Suigetsu just denied Sasuke's words and he retorted back. I don't. It's the complete opposite. You're the one who's underestimating him. Even if you revived him. Suigetsu trailed off when he realized that he was just being ignored by Sasuke, who was making numerous hand seals in front of Anko's body. Whatever. Do what you want. Suigetsu grumbled as he just watched Sasuke, who decided to talk to Yugo. Yugo, scoop me a piece of Kabuto's body. Yugo just complied and made his way towards Kabuto's body. Suigetsu yelled at him. You sure about this, Yugo? He's gonna revive Orochimaru. He just scowled at the response he got from Yugo. Sasuke's will is Kimimara's will. I just obey. Yugo's skin started to change, turning into brownish, and he held out his hand on Kabuto's chest, and a makeshift flesh containing Kabuto's essence was probably in it. He grabbed the makeshift flesh as he turned back at Anko's direction, and he placed the flesh at Anko's cursed seal. Sasuke finished his hand seals and he placed his hand on the cursed seal. Kaya Howen. A huge snake appeared in Anko's cursed seal, and inside the snake's mouth was Orochimaru himself. Suigetsu bolted out and he used Kabuto's body as cover when Orochimaru was now standing as he came out of the snake's mouth. He observed the surroundings and he looked at Sasuke. To think that you would be the one to revive me. Orochimaru smiled ominously at Sasuke and he looked at me. And you're also here, Naruto-kun. A sinister smile crept up on Orochimaru's face as he stared at me. I held back a shiver from the inauspicious gaze he was giving me. There's something I need you to do for me. Orochimaru. Sasuke demanded from Orochimaru, who just waved off Sasuke's words as he replied. I don't need an explanation for such a menial fact. I've been watching the whole time in Enko's seal. As I split my soul in every single cursed seal, it also contained my consciousness. Then, you know about the war? I asked Orochimaru. Of course, Naruto-kun. And before you ask, I have no interest in this war. It is a war started by someone else, so why should I bother to do so? What I'm interested is. Orochimaru grinned at Sasuke as he pointed at him. That young body of yours, Sasuke-kun. He licked his lips creepily, making Suigetsu shiver in fear. And that mind of yours, Naruto-kun. He pointed at me as he added. Naruto-kun's mind, which is a trove of ideas and concepts regarding to seals, along with Sasuke-kun's I would be an unstoppable force. He started to laugh maliciously, making me and Sasuke on our guard, but it relaxed as soon as Orochimaru added. Although, I don't have enough power to steal it yet. I wonder about that, you slippery bastard. Someone who was able to chorus an invasion and fought the third Hokage in a standstill by summoning the past Hokages before getting beaten, you still have too many tricks on your sleeve. Sasuke just approached Orochimaru before handing out the black scroll from earlier, making Orochimaru give Sasuke a calculative look as he spoke. Why do you want to meet them? A discerning gaze was visible in Orochimaru's eyes, making Suigetsu flinched, but Sasuke and I weren't that bothered by it. Sasuke replied back at him. I don't know much, but I want to hear everything from them. Orochimaru just dismissed Sasuke's words and he spoke. Everything. You don't need to know all of that, you're still a child. Sasuke was just quiet when Orochimaru spoke, probably contemplating on every single thing that has happened on him from the beginning up until now, making me thought of everything that happened to me as well. Right now, if Orochimaru were to summon the past Kages, my questions would have been answered as well. What I only needed to know is the truth in my past. I don't know everything, the only thing I knew was that my parents were alive and I was not a Jinchuriki. I don't know why they abandoned me, and what I want is the answer to that, though, I already have an inkling assumption on that, and if it's true. The only person I should really hate would be the third Hokage for lying, my father for using me, my mother who agreed, but not my sister. Sasuke gave Orochimaru a blank stare before speaking. I'm no longer a child. I can't be one anymore. What kind of actions should I take? After reuniting with Itachi, my hatred against Konoha only grew stronger. Sasuke paused a little bit before continuing. But the feelings of my brother, Itachi Uchiha, who became a traitor and died to protect the village as a Konoha shinobi. What was Itachi, then? Our clan? The village? I don't know, that's why I want to know everything. So that I can arrive at my answer and know what must be done. All Sasuke wanted to know right now is, what should he do? Being manipulated by Itachi all of his life, losing everything, sacrificing everything, not knowing anything, all because he was manipulated. Orochimaru was discerning Sasuke before turning his back at him, moving towards Kabuto, who has still not broken the genjutsu casted on him. With my Sage mode activated instantly, I can see Orochimaru's Sage chakra inside Kabuto returning to him. Orochimaru was absorbing his chakra that was inside Kabuto, leaving Kabuto with only his original chakra inside. Suigetsu, with his annoying voice, spoke loudly. Look, he stole Kabuto's power. No, that's not what happened. Orochimaru just retrieved his own chakra that was inside Kabuto, and Kabuto's chakra was untouched. Yugo retorted back at Suigetsu, who was shaking his head violently, not believing a word Yugo just said. Orochimaru just spoke at Sasuke. The way you are now, it's not bad. I'll assist you. Just follow me. Orochimaru did not bother looking back as he started to make his way towards the cave's exit. Sasuke, who started to follow him along with Yugo and Suigetsu, asked, "Where?" Orochimaru just replied, "To a place you know well. By the way, Naruto-kun, are you going to come as well? The questions you have can be answered as well." Sarutobi-sensei, while being kind man, was a shrewd person after all. "Fine. I don't have anything better to do anyway." I just stood up, starting to follow them as well, leaving Kabuto alone in the cavern. Scene break. We arrived at the village I used to love, and now the village I don't care about. Orochimaru said that the place where we were going was somehow near to the village, so we took a detour to the village. After a couple of minutes, walking near the village, we saw a temple in a broken state. The entrance was barely open, due to the fact that the roof of the entrance was giving in, barely holding on. The shrine belongs to the Uzumaki clan, which was located in the outskirts of Konoha. The entrance of the place is a giant replica of the clan's symbol. Though, it is of no importance to me, even if I belong to the Uzumaki clan. The clan was already destroyed anyway. We entered the temple when we stumbled upon many masks hanged upon one side of the wall. For Orochimaru to revive the past Hokages, he needed the Shinigami mask, which would allow him to release the souls sealed inside the Shinigami's stomach. "Which one is it?" Sasuke asked. He obviously wanted answers as soon as possible. Orochimaru just stared in the masks hanging upon the wall, trying to find the Shinigami mask. After a few seconds of waiting, Orochimaru's snake grabbed the one which looked like the face of Shinigami. "It's kinda creepy, so now that you found it, let's go," Suigetsu said as I saw him trying to suppress a shiver running through him. "Yeah, let's go, to the place where all the secrets lie." After that, we left the shrine and started heading out towards the village's entrance. We were wearing black cloaks as we arrived in the village, making our way inside. We are still wanted in Konoha after all. Even though, there's a war currently going on right now. After a couple of walks inside, I saw Sasuke jumped and I decided to follow him, jumping as well and landing on a high platform, making the whole village visible no matter where we look at. The Hokage monument was up there, with 5 faces belonging from the first Hokage up to the 5th Hokage. "Naruto, the place has changed quite a lot, huh?" I heard Sasuke mutter under his breath as he spoke clearly. He's being sentimental since he will probably be making his decision after we get our answers from the Hokages. "Yeah. Indeed it has," I replied as I think about what would I do the moment I get my answers. I don't have any attachment to the place anymore. Scene break. We arrived at the Naka shrine belonging to the Uchiha clan. Though the place was already wrecked and destroyed from Pain's invasion, only a stone door was visible as Sasuke used a jutsu to open the door. Only Uchiha would probably be able to open that. Stone stairs were revealed, making its way downwards, clearly underground, where the tablet of Uchiha was located. After arriving at the stone monument, Orochimaru spoke loudly, making his words echo in the small room located underground. "I will start. Stay back." The moment Orochimaru wore the Shinigami mask, we saw Orochimaru being shrouded by a dark chakra and felt the intensity it held. "Gwa!" Orochimaru screamed from the sudden possession of the Shinigami as he held out both of his arms. The Shinigami manifested behind him as we saw the Shinigami had its blade in its right hand, cutting its stomach. The soul sealed inside the stomach was released along with Orochimaru's arms. When Orochimaru recovered his arms, Yugo immediately placed his hand at Sasuke, releasing the 6 Zetsu which was inside of Sasuke's body. I rushed forward, binding the 6 Zetsu with my seals, making them halt in their movement, completely stiff. Orochimaru said that he has DNA from the past Hokages. He used 4 of the Zetsus as sacrifices so the souls would have a body to inhabit. He made numerous hand seals before he slammed his hand towards the seal he drew in the floor. Kuchios, Edo Tensei. After that, he bolted out of his old body which was bleeding huge amount of blood and used one of the Zetsus as a new one. The 4 Zetsus right now were screaming in pain as the 4 Hokage started to form in their bodies. I was just standing in there, waiting for the 4 Hokages to appear along with Sasuke who wants answers. Orochimaru chuckled darkly as he spoke. The people who know everything. The previous Hokages. He introduced the 4 of them even though we already knew who they were. There stood the Shodame, Hashirama Senju, the Naidame, Tobirama Senju, the Sandame, Hiruzen Sarutobi, lastly, my father, the Yondame, Minato Namikaze. We just stood there, waiting for someone to break the moment of silence. Unexpectedly, it was Suigetsu who spoke. The first Hokage, the man who was said to be the god of shinobi, Hashirama Senju. Suigetsu pointed at Hashirama's direction who looked back at him. I saw a confused expression plastered on the Hokage's faces. They were probably wondering as to how they were revived again. They all observed their surroundings and saw Orochimaru. Tobirama spoke in disdain when he glared at Orochimaru. This Orochimaru guy again. What do you mean? Hashirama asked his brother when it was the Sandame who replied. He probably removed the seal of the Shiki Fujin that was trapping us and he used the Edo Tensei. He spoke grimly as he answered Hashirama. He looked at the whole group and I saw a slight recognition on his expression when he saw me. He was gaping in disbelief the moment he saw me. He was obviously not expecting me being with Orochimaru. Naruto, why are you with Orochimaru? He asked. But I did not answer. My father was looking at me, wide-eyed when he heard the Sandame question me. You're Naruto? I just responded with a simple nod. I don't know how to respond to my father who was talking to me right now, so I just gave a simple nod. I glanced at Sasuke, who was just watching right now with an unreadable expression. I know that what he wants right now was answers, but it seems that he's willing to let me go first. Though, I think he also wants to know about my past. The Sandame tried to press on, quite agitated that I ignored his question, but before he could ask, my father was the one who gave a statement. You're so big now, I only saw you when you were a newborn. My father exclaimed with a happy expression on his face, in which I saw the Sandame only grimaced, probably because the talk about how I was treated in Konoha will come. My father continued, trying to contain his excitement as he asked a few questions at me. Did you learn the Rasengan, spiraling, sphere? After seeing my nod, he asked. Did you complete it then? I gave a reluctant nod. I don't really want to give out what kind of techniques I learned, but it was my father who created it, so as a part of thanks, I just gave another nod. Amazing. You really are my son. He just moved towards me as he smiled cheerfully at me before ruffling my hair in an affectionate manner. If my mind was still the same as before, the one longing for affections and love, I would have probably start crying and respond with a hug. But I've already come into terms with my ideals and beliefs. I've come far with this, and I'd be damned to hell before I throw them away just because of a simple affectionate action. The ruffle of hair was stopped when Hashirama looked at my father before asking. Who are you? Hashirama asked with a curiosity-filled voice. My father just turned his back, revealing a kanji of 4th. The 4th Hokage. Oh. A 4th. Hashirama said in glee, which made us stand in silence. Honestly, I expected more from 1st Hokage. I somehow expected him to be stern, serious, even strict, because it was obvious that the 1st Hokage should be the one to show promise, not idiocy. Granted, I'm like that before. Though, I did not expect a happy-go-lucky person in front of me. He knows that he's being controlled by Orochimaru, yet he's not even taking it seriously. So the village has been stable for a long time. He just spoke sagely without even an ounce of worry and all. If he's a censor like the books say, shouldn't he already feel that there is a war going on right now? I'm not really sure whether the village is stable or not. I actually died before the third died and was sealed. My father just rubbed the back of his head as he chuckled sheepishly. Really? So you weren't sealed with Sarutobi? Hashirama asked. Yes. It's a different case actually. My father just closed his eyes as he smiled at Hashirama. Who's the fifth, then? He asked us, hoping for an answer to come. It was Orochimaru who replied. Your granddaughter, Princess Tsunade. When Hashirama heard that, he slumped his shoulders as his mood suddenly darkens. Tsuna? Is the village all right? He muttered, loudly, a tone of worry was coating his voice. Are you worried? Hashirama's mood changed from the dark one to a bright and cheerful one. He laughed in joy as he spoke. I really spoiled her. She even learned gambling from me. Ha ha ha. Really? This laid-back man is the first Hokage who was supposed to be the god of shinobi. He's really different from what I thought. Edo Tensei again? Tobirama asked in disbelief as Orochimaru replied. It wasn't that much of a complicated jutsu after all. Even your political measures and the jutsus you invented create too many troubles afterward. Orochimaru smiled as he answered Tobirama. I heard Hashirama gave a tired sigh as he placed his left hand on his temple. Ha! The world is always fighting, no matter what. He continued as he pointed a finger at his brother. Tobirama. That's why I told you. Be quiet, brother. He chided Hashirama, who tried to retort back. But. And was interrupted. Silence. Tobirama stared at his brother with an unwavering gaze. Hashirama's mood began to darken again and he slumped his shoulders in defeat. Orochimaru just spread out his arms before replying back at Tobirama. I'm not planning on attacking Leaf. That's why I'm not even blocking your personalities. He moved towards mine and Sasuke's direction as he continued. This time, I simply wanted to create a moment for the both of these two boys to have their questions answered. He motioned his hand at the both of us. Sneaking a quick glance on Sasuke, who was just there with an unreadable expression, seeing that Sasuke wanted me to ask first, I started on asking. I am Naruto Namikaze. And all I want to know is why did you proclaimed me as a Jinchuriki when I was not, father? Why did my sister and mother left me alone in Konoha, making me suffer in the mental and physical pain I received from the villagers? I spoke coldly as I spat the word father like poison, barely containing my anger when I recalled that he abandoned me along with mother and my sister. What do you mean you suffered? Didn't the Sandaime tell you the truth? He asked with a somehow surprised and confused expression plastering on his face. I can see the Sandaime shifting nervously, who was besides the other Hokages. No, he never spoke a word. I answered as I held on to my stoic demeanor. My emotionless facade was starting to break from my barely contained hostility, but Sasuke just patted me on the shoulder. Making me calm down, I gave a silent thanks at Sasuke, who just nodded at me. My father glared at the Sandaime before asking with displeasure on his voice. What's the meaning of this, Sarutobi? The Sandaime just replied nervously before retorting back. You don't understand, Minato. If I told him, he would have just spoken that his family is actually alive. I told you to tell him about his parents and what we have planned to do the moment he can form coherent thoughts. You don't have the right to ignore that. He stated harshly at the Sandaime. I interrupted their talk, asking about the plan my father mentioned. Care to enlighten me about that plan of yours? I asked at my father, who was still angry at the Sandaime. Yeah, since you don't know what actually happened at that time, you see, your sister was born 3 years earlier than you. And when she reached the age of 3, she can already manifest chakra chains just as durable and just as strong as the one your mother creates. So while both I and your mother were happy for her, I already formulated a plan inside my mind to seal the Kyuubi inside her should it escape from Kushina since she was pregnant with you. And I copied the seals that the Uzumaki used on your mother when she became a Jinchuriki. But it was a very intricate seal that probably takes a lot of time to be used. So when the masked man attacked Konoha and released the Kyuubi that was inside of your mother the time you were born, I fought and released the hold of the masked man on the Kyuubi. I told you that I was planning on sealing the Kyuubi in your sister, but since I can't use the seal used on your mother since it takes a lot of time, and I don't want Konoha to be destroyed, I settled for the faster method. I sealed the Kyuubi in your sister using the Shiki Fujin. After that, I still had probably a couple of seconds before my soul gets taken by the Shinigami. I used a genjutsu on the Sandaime and your mother to show them what I was planning. My plan was for Sarutobi to announce you had taken the mantle of being a Jinchuriki, but he should have proclaimed you as Konoha's hero as well. As for why, it because people will obviously ask what became of the Kyuubi. Then the masked man would take notice of you, thinking that you are the Jinchuriki of the Kyuubi. When in truth it was sealed in your sister who would be trained by your mother to control the chakra of the Kyuubi to fight him in the future. They would leave Konoha to train while the masked man thought of you as a Jinchuriki. And they would be announced as dead. Though, convincing Kushina was actually hard. He didn't want to leave you alone. But it was needed if we want to defeat the masked man. So she accepted. Since the masked man was planning on gathering the bijou and based on what Jiraiya and I knew from Jiraiya's spy network, there was a group having a clear intent of collecting the bijou. It also connected when the masked man said that he was planning on taking the Kyuubi. So, he would be delayed should he capture you. And since the world thought of you as a Jinchuriki, Konoha would obviously never release their hold of you, seeing that you're their weapon. As a bonus, you would be trained, and when your sister came back, you, who were trained early, and your sister who was trained to control the Kyuubi's chakra. The two of you would fight against the masked man's level the next time he tries to take back the Kyuubi. Also, at the moment you could form coherent thoughts. Sarutobi was supposed to tell you the truth. But it was obvious that he didn't do so. My father finished his explanation that just left me standing there in silence. My assumption was actually correct. By announcing me as a Jinchuriki, the Akatsuki would continue hunting me, when in truth, I didn't actually have it. They would be delayed and my sister would continue on training until she can fight on the Akatsuki's level. All in all, it was a sound plan. No one would actually think that I had a family if they were to be proclaimed as dead. That left me hanging there with my mind, hearing his words echoing in my mind. My thoughts were completely stopped when I heard a smart-ass comment coming from Suigetsu. Wow! You have one crazy father, haven't you, Blondie? I stopped myself from retorting back, but he continued. It was a good plan. Spoken like a true shinobi. He smiled mockingly towards my father. To prove his point, he even made a mocking sound like neen while making a seal of confrontation. He asked me, did he really think that you would just accept that? Suigetsu grinned, showing his sharpened shark-like teeth. While I really wanted to reply at his question, I ignored him and started to stare at my father. I see. I just stared at my father while I look at him blankly. I can see a somehow nervous expression marring his face as he realized the words he just said. While the plan may sound good and it was actually good, he should have taken into account how the people needed on his plan would feel towards it. No one would just accept after being said that they were bait for a group filled with nothing but S-rank shinobis, especially if they were just a child. I saw Hashirama having a shocked look on his face, obviously when my father just stated to use me as bait against people who were targeting the bijou. From what I saw of him, I can tell that he's a compassionate person that values friends, comrades, and family. So, a face of disbelief would be just appropriate when he heard what my father planned for me. Tobirama had an appraising look at my father before giving me a calculative look. he was probably wondering on whether I played my part on father's plan. The Sandaime was just there standing, but I don't really care. He didn't even bother to tell me about my parents, so why should I? My father had a pleading look in his face as he stared at me. I can see that he was thinking about what to say in this situation. He started to speak as he gave a look of a person who wants to be forgiven. I know that it was too much of a task for a child, but you have to understand, Naruto. The masked man would be a threat if they would be left alone, so I created this plan. And if you had any assumption that I do not love you, you're wrong. I love you, just like how your mother and your sister does. That's why we need to make hard decisions for our loved ones. If we had let the masked man alone, then he would have threatened your mother and sister since they hold the Kyuubi. So please, Naruto. Understand. He just looked at me with a pleading stare boring on my very eyes. Don't worry, father, as a shinobi myself I understand. I wore an unreadable face at my father, who has now an expression of relief on his face. Of course I understand, he was a Hokage, so he had to do what he needs to do. I respect his decision as a shinobi. No doubt it was a good plan to trick the masked man into thinking that I was a Jinchuriki. But I continued. However, as your child, I don't. So do not think that we will still be able to bond like father and son, or even as a parent or child. As his child, I do not respect that decision. Someone who just used a child like that, especially their own child. My anger towards him only grew larger and larger, but thanks to my training as a sage who would control the nature energy, which not only contained the essence of the nature, but also its emotions, I held on and controlled my anger. My father tried to speak as he called out on me, but I just turned my back at him and started making my way towards the underground stairs. Sasuke, who saw my face, just only nodded solemnly at me as I continued walking upwards from the stairs. Kukuku. I heard Orochimaru chuckling ominously as I got outside of the hidden room in the underground of the Naka shrine. It was Sasuke's turn now, so me being there would only hinder the questions he had. Flashback end. Right now, I should gather information as much as I could. Being stranded in a new dimension with a different culture, and possibly different language, will make this hard for me. My completely stilled body, which was currently purifying the tainted energy lingering in this place, just finished doing so. I stood up, and decided to make a single hand sign. Kage Bunshin no Jutsu, Shadow Clone Technique. With a poof of smoke, 4 clones appeared in front of me as I ordered them. Guys, find any information you could get, especially information about other beings besides human. It might be possible for this place to have other beings besides mankind. After you guys think you found enough information, just disappear in a poof. Though, be subtle and try not to be noticed by anyone, if possible. The clones only answer in a simple hand sign followed by their disappearance in a swirl of leaves. I'm not really sure whether this dimension has demons like the Bijou or the Satori, but it's better to be prepared. What I need the most right now is information in this place before trying to settle down. After that, I started to relax when I remembered. Shit. I forgot to lower my presence and aura. The other people would have felt my massive energy circulating in this forest. A huge energy like mine won't probably go unnoticed. I need to leave this vicinity as soon as possible. After taking a quick glance and a quick absorption of the nature energy in this forest, whether the place is already purified, I immediately bolted out of the forest as I made my presence diluted and became one with nature. A few minutes later, a man with blonde and black streaks adorning his hair was currently taking a walk in the forest where he felt the sudden burst of pure energy was earlier. The moment he stepped foot on the forest, he immediately adopted a discerning mind when he felt that the forest was somehow clean and purer than it was before. He didn't know why, but the pure energy that was bursting earlier was now circulating around the whole forest, as if the energy was maintaining the forest's cleanliness. The energy that was lingering in the place was so warm and calming to the point where he gave a relaxed sigh and just wanted to go to sleep. The energy was so pure it felt like the forest was welcoming anyone in its embrace. He drove away those lazy thoughts as he spoke out loud to no one. Someone did this. Probably one who can use senjutsu. What I want to know is how. He trailed off as he left the forest with a calm mind and a relaxed posture. A petite black-haired girl appeared a couple of seconds later after the yellow-haired man left. The girl glanced in every nook and cranny of the forest, trying to find the familiar feeling from earlier. Ah! I could feel it. The gap. She spoke in a monotone voice at no one in particular. She just felt the feeling of the dimensional gap oozing in the forest, but she didn't know why. She just went there when she felt the familiar presence of her home. A man with yellow hair watching above the clouds was pondering on his thoughts as he felt the burst of clean energy from the forest which was in the territory of the devils. When he took a glance below, he saw the blonde-haired man which he deduced as Azazel left the place, and after a couple of seconds, what he saw nearly made him faint. The dragon god Ophis was observing the place where the clean energy was. And nothing good comes when the dragon god took notice of something. Only destruction and chaos comes next, and his thoughts earlier about the pure energy disappeared, only to be replaced by the havoc that would happen now that he saw the dragon god. Ajuka Beelzebub, who was chatting with Surzek's Lucifer, was disturbed when he heard a beeping alarm happening. When one of his people said that there was some news that was needed for him. When he read the report, the contents it contained made him blink twice. The report stated that there was a forest in Kuo that suddenly released a large burst of energy. The place was seen to be visited by the governor of fallen angels, Azazel, and the dragon god, Ophis. This is... Ajuka heard a voice behind him, indicating that Surzek sneaked a peek at the report he just received. Yeah, there was a sudden surge of energy in your sister's territory. And if the report that Azazel and Ophis were really true, then it means that there is a new power lurking out there, and if it grabbed the dragon god's attention, it's something big. Unknown to Naruto, the moment he traversed the new dimension, his very presence already broke the balance of the world with his appearance. It would only be soon before he is sought by those who want his power. Author's note: though it was somewhat anticlimactic, I hope you guys enjoyed that. This chapter is completely dedicated to answer some of your questions regarding about Naruto's history. If you guys still have any questions, I hope you PM them to me or post it as reviews. I'll answer them on the next chapter. Once again, I appreciate the fave, follows and reviews, especially constructive ones, and I hope you guys continue on doing so. Thanks a lot, and I hope you guys continue on reading this FIC. Unexpected meetings. Author's note: you guys love Naruto way too much, it's becoming too crazy. Let me remind you, Naruto is not God. He, Sasuke, Sakura, and Kakashi might have sealed one, but they did not defeat one. If it was only Naruto and Sasuke who faced Kaguya, they wouldn't even have defeated her. That meant Naruto's capability is weaker than Kaguya, who was supposed to be the strongest character in Naruto. The last movie Naruto and Boruto movie Naruto might be stronger than Kaguya, but this is just the 4th war Naruto, who sealed Kaguya with the help of others. So shouldn't you guys be angry that I was weakening Kaguya instead? And do not be worried about that, I've weakened Kaguya, I did not, I only made Great Red stronger than her. If Naruto would be at Great Red's league or even greater, it would probably be the last Naruto or the Boruto movie Naruto, but the 4th war Naruto can't match Ophis and Great Red, at least that's what I think. Regarding Drake's claim, I can't deny what you guys said since it is true. To be honest, I'm trying to strengthen the DxD verse, since if I were to bring the Naruto verse there, DxD verse would lose no doubt. And I just don't want the characters from the DxD to be so weak. But I really think that Naruto shouldn't be overpowered too much. Also, I stated last chapter that in this FIC, meaning the fanfiction I'm writing right now, this, meaning my Great Red is someone who can destroy the whole universe should he fight Trihexa, 666. It means that I powered up Great Red that he could destroy the whole universe with Trihexa. It doesn't mean that I weaken the Naruto like you guys said. I stated last chapter that Naruto along with Sasuke would still be in the top 10. He's still overpowered as hell and I won't change that. And to those who hate the change, remember that this is fanfiction, which meant that the stories posted in the what if situations, no matter what some of you guys do, you can't change that, so don't berate anyone who might have changed the personality, the verse itself, and even the powers, since this is fanfiction. Personally, I think some of you guys just love Naruto to be overpowered than any other characters at all. That's why I said in the last chapter, either don't read or just think that I've made Great Red stronger, which I actually did. Also, some are a bit disappointed that the last chapter was merely a flashback, though I stated in the author's note that the chapter was completely dedicated to reveal some of Naruto's history. Still, I'm sorry about that. I did that since I was planning to release the next chapter 2 days or so after I've posted the last chapter. Nightfall to dawn, regarding the peerage, I don't know. It might be possible for Naruto to join a faction, though I would probably have to make a chapter where I've to unleash the friendship power or something like that. Naruto is neutral in this fic, he'll be good when the moment comes and no, he won't be evil. Though, he might trick this person, that person, etc. His dream will probably be altered, since this would be a useless story if he did not interact with any beings in DxD. And yes, there would be a pairing, though I would try to make the character development enjoyable. It won't be the love at first sight kind of development. Zentari 2238, I'm sorry about that, I'm still new in regards to writing itself, so I would still have flaws in writing character development. And I know, I won't push it too far, I think. He who seeks the joys in life, like what I said above, I made the DxD verse stronger. And if you still don't like that, please just don't read the story and stop giving me reviews which I think as harassment. I'm just a level 1 fanfiction author, so I still can't take 9,999 damage. Jberry 148, I know it's too much, I can only say sorry about that. Azure Scion, I'm glad that someone shares my point of view regarding Naruto. It mends my heart, which is broken like glass by the numerous angry reviews. Ria Mix, thanks a lot for the information. It helps that you're considering the author's feelings. Not just spouting how much my story is contradicting to what you know and want. Thanks a lot. I appreciate it. And don't worry, Naruto's power is still over 9,000. Anyway, thanks for the reviews, fave, and follows, I appreciate it. I hope you guys continue doing so, especially the informative reviews and especially the constructive ones. Disclaimer, I don't own anything. Chapter 3, Unexpected Meetings. My eyebrow twitched slightly when the cat approached me and started on poking me with its right paw. I was just there sitting still while purifying this area near the mountains of the tainted nature energy, and the cat had the nerve to bother me. While I can draw nature energy instantly when I fight, I usually gather the nature energy with my eyes closed and in a sitting still position. But when I felt a senjutsu user approach me, I was perturbed and mildly curious as well. But when I opened my eyes, I saw a cat. Yes, a cat which obviously knows that I was purifying the area, though I don't know why it's trying to annoy me. My mind was completely blank as I look at the cat in front of me. By being a natural sensor, I can sense anything that has chakra in its veins and the nature energy lingering on anything and anyone. When I and Sasuke faced off Madara, I knew that the man was using senjutsu the moment we fought him. So I was surprised when I saw the black cat looking at my eyes directly with an unrelenting gaze. I even blinked twice when I felt the cat was able to use senjutsu. Really? A cat was able to use senjutsu? It's a cat. It's not even a summon, for God's sake. There are no summons in this world. You should try talking to her. She's obviously interested in you. And after that key dash, I heard a demonic feline voice speaking inside of my head. I enjoy her outgoing personality because she somehow breaks my stoic demeanor and I feel open whenever we have conversations, but sometimes, it's too overbearing. I was always disgruntled whenever she decides to tease me. To be frank, it's annoying and irritating. Matatabi, stop teasing me. I interrupted her from finishing what she wanted to say, no doubt it would be something perverted again. While she's polite and respectful to others, it's only a face. In truth, she's a playful person. No, scratch that, a playful demon when it comes to the ones she's close to. So yes, the two-tails Bakaniko, Matatabi is a pervert who succeeded on corrupting her previous Jinchuriki, Yujato ni. Apparently, she also wants to corrupt me. It's a cat and you want me to make out with one? I asked with disbelief coating my voice, making Matatabi chuckle lightly as she responded. Oh, you're making me blush, Naruto-kun. Matatabi responded in a playful manner which served to deepen my ever-growing ire. I knew I shouldn't have taken their consciousness as well, but Azura begged me to take them when I saved them, so I just relented. Even though we both see some things in different ways, I still owe him, after all. I stopped from telling that it was not a compliment, since if I did, she would just change the subject. So, decided to ask the more sensible question. Matatabi, would you please be kind and tell me how this cat can use senjutsu? I can only sense that she can use it. I asked her, pointing at the cat which was licking its paw affectionately while I expected some kind of apt answer, and what she said only left me hanging. It's because she's a cat, silly. She said as if that answered the question. What? Did she expect me to understand that? I don't know why, but it feels like she's just messing with me. What's the meaning of saying something vague to a person that won't completely understand that? Matatabi, you're just messing with me, aren't you? Yup, I do. I give up. I raised both of my arms in defeat and saw the cat titled her head slightly, looking at me weirdly as I gave a tired sigh. I stood up while dusting the dirt in my pants whilst the cat was still observing me closely. I just patted the cat's head before speaking to the cat. How can you use senjutsu? I asked her, not expecting an answer to come. My ever-growing ire even became larger when I heard a reply coming from the small feline. And I definitely did not expect the cat to talk. It's because I'm a cat, silly. The cat remarked while pointing her paws at me as if she was stating something big. In an instant, instead of one, both of my eyebrows twitched from the cat's comment. I could hear Matatabi's laugh reverberating inside of my head, and I definitely saw a mental image of her slamming her paws in the ground while holding her stomach, trying to stop her laughing. Why do cats always insist on giving me headaches? At least this cat's not as worst as Tora. I hope that demon died during the war. I felt my lips twitching upward a little as I rubbed the back of my head sheepishly and decided to leave the place. But the moment I do so, I could see the black cat following me. The cat rushed at me and jumped at my right shoulder before she started to talk. Why can a human like you use senjutsu, nya? She asked. I can somehow see an observant expression on her face. The cat's hazel gold eyes were sparkling with curiosity. Then she licked her paws as she was waiting for my answer, expectant of an acceptable one, while poking my right cheek, goading me to answer quickly. But I decided to get back at her, trying to make her a little bit irked by giving her a question as well. How can a cat like you use senjutsu? I poked her face with the finger on my left hand gently as I asked with a visible raised eyebrow. The cat held back a low growl as she swiftly pounced on my face. I'm the one asking questions, nya. She revealed her cat claws and proceeded to scratch my face. Ow! That hurt. I felt her claws scratched my face 2 or 3 times, but I immediately grabbed her before throwing her away. The cat just flipped her whole body before landing gracefully. She stuck out her tongue before speaking. I'll be back. The feline bolted out of my face immediately, disappearing in the surrounding bushes on the pathway near the mountains. Matatabi, how did she scratch me? That shouldn't be possible. I asked the demonic feline stuck inside of my mind. She just gave me a lazy reply. Do you want to know? She asked, slightly purring, definitely wanting to tease and annoy me again. I just cut off our connection before quoting Shikamaru's favorite saying. Troublesome. I sighed tiredly as I made my way towards back at town. If there would be usable quote in my daily life, it would be that loving cats invite trouble. Scene break. I was reading in the library of the town when I felt two inhuman presences enter the library. My Kage Bunshin gave me a lot of information regarding to this world. The technology in this world, there were various ways of transportation that mankind in this world uses. They have vehicles that can fly, they have machines that can produce energy and such. There were even advanced communication objects like smartphones which could connect to the other side of the world. The culture of every country, how different each country's languages are, unlike at elemental nations where there was only one single language used worldwide, here they use different dialects, though the most prominently used worldwide was English. Thanks to the clones I was able to learn them quickly though. The history of this world, how this world faced and survived 2 world wars where most humans even though they have no chakra, found a way to wage war against others. But they did not fight for survival, they fought for only one thing, glory. But that was until a lasting peace was somehow founded. But most of all, I learned various religions existed in this plane of dimension. There were the Greece with its Greek mythology, Rome with its Roman mythology, there were also the Bible which contains God and his angels, the fallen angels, and also devils, but what piqued my interest most of all is Japan with its Shinto and folklore. There were beings such as yokai like Kyubi, Bakaniko, Kappa, Tengu, and many more. The names of the gods belonging to the Shinto were also coincidentally the same with the Sharingan techniques. What connection does it has? Though most of these inhuman beings probably exist, I can feel a small number of them in this town, I just don't know what they are. Most of them feels dark, even the 2 inhuman presences that just entered the library felt dark as well. I somehow wish that I had my sister's ability to sense negative emotions, since it would probably be helpful in this kind of situations. Brushing off those thoughts, I can feel the 2 inhuman presences creeping up close to me by each second. I was trying to escape the people swiftly and subtly as I stood up from my seat and proceeded to place back the book I was reading. As I move quickly away from the nearing presences, I can feel myself getting enough distance away from them. Though, at the moment I was at the exit, I took a glance on the not-human and found myself staring at the not-human, which was a woman with a slim body with a bob-cut black hair wearing eyeglasses. The other not-human was a crimson-haired woman with blue-green eyes. Fortunately, they were not looking at me. I quickly left the library, opening and closing the door, immediately walking away from the place. Scene break. I found myself sitting in a bench at the park where I could see the sunset basking the whole place. I relaxed, feeling the wind grazing my skin as I breathed a sigh of relief. My stomach made a low growl as I realized I have not yet eaten after purifying the area near the mountains earlier. Looking around the vicinity, I did not saw a single soul, so I whispered in a low tone. Banbutsu Sozo. Creation of all things, a fresh apple appeared in my right hand in the instant I whispered. The technique was something originating from the Sage of 6 Paths. He used the technique to create the bodies of the 9-tailed beasts. Apparently, my mastery of the good Adama, truth-seeking ball, which is the combination of not only the 5 nature transformation, but also contained the yin-yang release, improved my efficiency in the control of yin and yang chakra, otherwise I wouldn't be able to use Banbutsu Sozo. I was eating the apple when 2 people appeared, a brown-haired teen along with a black-haired lass were walking towards the fountain's direction. Though, the girl doesn't feels like human, it felt dark, no. Scratch that. I can feel corruption on her mind and a taint in her body. Just like earlier, I don't know what, but it's different yet same with the 2 women earlier. It seems that the both of them were a couple who were just finished going on a date. While watching the 2 of them, the black-haired girl who was smiling innocently at the boy started on leaking killing intent that would make weak people faint easily. So it's a facade. If she's really an innocent girl like what her smile says, she shouldn't be leaking crazy amounts of killing intent. It's still weak though. And it seems the boy was idiotic enough not to even notice it. Sighing, I contemplated on whether saving the boy or not. The girl who was leaking killing intent is definitely fixated on killing him, though if I save the boy, Options. Right now, the both of them can't sense me. I poured chakra on my ears to hear what they were talking about. I could hear the couple's conversation from there up to the bench I was sitting on. The innocent girl started to speak at the boy. "Can you do a favor for me?" she asked. The killing intent was so obvious right now only an idiot won't notice it. Though it was obvious that the boy clearly didn't, the boy was just smiling back at his girlfriend before nodding intently. "Anything you say, Yuma-chan. You would have run right now if you only knew what she was talking about." The girl who was smiling sweetly at the boy distanced herself from him, walking towards the fountain, basking in the sunset when she asked her favor. "Can you die for me?" "Come again?" Did she just ask that? If you were going to kill the boy, try to be subtle about it. Asking that will definitely make the boy run away. "Can you repeat that, Yuma-chan? I think my ears are failing me." The boy asked her girlfriend in confusion while trying to clean his ears. If I didn't have the apple in my right hand right now, I would have definitely face-palmed immediately. The girl just asked you to die and that's your response? If I didn't know any better, I would have thought that you have a death wish. "Can you die for me, Issei-kun?" The moment she asked that, I saw the girl's body change dramatically. 2 black wings sprouted on her back, her body changed from a girlish one to a sexy one. Her clothes changed from the uniform to a bondage suit. Flying over the boy, she smiled. Though it was different from the one she always uses, instead of an innocent one, it was a smile filled with hostility and cruelty. This time, she wasn't even trying to hide her intent to kill the boy. I looked at the boy who I thought was supposed to run away, but the boy's response was a simple nosebleed and a cry of "Apay." I accidentally dropped the apple and immediately face-palmed from the ludicrous response of the boy. There's no hope for this boy. Even Jennings would have started running away from her because of the killing intent she exudes. "Who's there?" The winged girl was startled by the sudden drop of my apple. She instantly looked at my direction. Fortunately, I did not remove the diluting technique I always uses. She spotted me, though she just dismissed it as nothing when she felt nothing at all. I am one with nature after all. Only people with myriad experience equaling mine and complete sages would be able to spot me. She just stared back at the boy with mirthful eyes as she spoke. "I enjoyed our date, Issei-kun. It was like playing with a child, but I'm sorry I have to kill you right now." She held out her right hand and a spear of light suddenly formed on her hand. Is that shape manipulation? I can't feel chakra from it, though it's a similar energy like chakra. So she took the energy flowing inside her body and formed that spear of light. She hurled the spear of light towards the boy's stomach, striking him as a hole appeared when the spear of light struck on his gut disappeared. I guess I have to save him now. I'm not particularly fond of an innocent to dying just like that because of my curiosity. Asen Jutsu, mystical palm technique, won't probably work, so I guess I have to use my yin-yang chakra to stabilize his life force. I expected the girl to leave after she killed him, but she said something that made me piqued my interest. "I'm sorry you have to die." She mocked apologize before continuing. "But if you want someone to blame, blame God for putting a sacred gear in you." She flaps her black wings, disappearing in sight quickly. So, she's a fallen angel. If she exists, the other particular beings in the Bible besides her probably exist as well. The God, angels and devils do so as well. If that's the case, is it possible for the number of the beast to exist as well? If it does, then this world is probably in danger as well. Though, what does she mean sacred gear? Is it a weapon or something? She even said God placed it in him. But I shrugged off those thoughts, replacing them with thoughts of saving the boy. So I looked back at the boy, hoping to see him sprawled up on the ground, with blood as his deathbed, but the sight I was forced to behold definitely made me want to leave him alone. The boy was there, standing as if he died standing honorably. His clothes were bloodied from his life-threatening wound on his body, and his right arm was reaching out towards the sky where the girl flew away, making a grabbing motion as I heard him muttering, "I wish I could have grabbed your huge apace before you killed me." His legs gave in and he fell on the ground. Blood was continuously leaking on his wound, making him lose his consciousness as soon as possible. I was gaping like a fish. My stoic demeanor was completely broken and I was filled with disbelief at the incredulity of the situation. When I recovered, I just raised my head up while face-palming at the boy's idiocy and perverseness. He was dying, his pose even looked cool, but his last words definitely ruined it. I don't know whether to save the pervert or not. I was having second thoughts. Why? It's because he had the audacity to state something perverted as his last words, and I definitely don't want to save someone like that. And since I did not make my decision in time, the boy that was sprawled in a pool of his own blood died. While I did not felt guilty that the boy died, I did feel obligated towards the boy since I did not try to save him as early as possible. The best I could do for him was to bury him and clean up his mess. So I made up my mind and decided to approach him. But before I even took a simple step towards him, I felt the inhuman presence coming from the boy. A circle with complicated inscriptions appeared at the boy's position. The energy was somehow the same yet different from what I've felt from the fallen angel earlier. I halted immediately as I waited for something to happen, and what just occurred made me somehow wary towards the woman that instantly appeared in front of the boy. The same one from before, from the library, the crimson-haired woman that materialized just now revived the dead boy. She smiled towards the dead boy as she spoke. "You're dead now, so I'll save you, and in exchange, you'll be mine." She took out a single pawn and tried to push it at the boy, but I saw the body rejected the piece and it was thrown away. She repeated the process 6 more times before succeeding on the 8th one. Earlier, I can feel the boy stopped breathing, so I became wary of the woman who appeared, took out 8 pawns and inserted them inside the boy. The dead heart of the boy suddenly started beating rapidly before beating normally. If someone can easily revive anyone like that just by taking out chess pieces, then it's possible for the woman to be a threat. I don't want another corpse-reviving person as an enemy again, so it would be smart if I were to keep an eye on the girl, and if she would be classified as a possible enemy, I kill her as soon as I can. Scene break. I was skeptical on deciding whether the crimson-haired woman last night was a bad person or not. Even if she is not human, I know better than to judge someone just because of what they are. I sent a clone to observe the woman, and from what I've seen, she looks like someone who was just enjoying her life. She goes to school, drink tea with friends and go back home with that disappearing technique she uses. The moment she uses the circle, her presence immediately disappears in the whole town, so I can only deduce that it was a long-distance teleportation technique. So, I always lose my trail of her, so I moved from the crimson-haired girl to the boy. The boy was named Issei Hayadu, and from what I've seen so far at him, he's definitely a pervert. If Jiraiya did die in the elemental nations, I was sure that this boy was his reincarnation. They're definitely on the same side of the coin. Though, the boy was even worse than Jiraiya. I know for sure that even Jiraiya won't just stand there waiting to be killed. Anyway, one of my discoveries on him was that his genetics changed. I can feel the same inhuman presence coming from the crimson-haired girl on him. It seems that when she revived him, the boy who was human became the same as the girl. He was no longer human and his whole body completely became different. I observed that his speed and strength increased 2-fold. He was now probably stronger than the most humans of this dimension. But if my assumption is correct, there are masters in the taijutsu of this world. Even he won't be able to defeat someone skilled with only pure strength and speed. That topic also made me interested in it. I'd definitely use a clone to learn the katas of the taijutsu forms of this world. While I don't strive for any further strength, learning something on a whim shouldn't be bad. Back at the subject in hand, it seems that his body somehow became weaker when he's exposed to light, though he always became active when it comes to night. I left clones to observe the two as I decided to take a break. Scene break. I was resting in the forest where I first arrived in this place when I was alerted by a massive presence suddenly looming in the forest itself. I immediately diluted my very presence and aura to become one with nature, hoping not to be detected. After a moment that seemed like a minute, I felt the presence slowly creeping in. I gave up on hiding and decided to face the one who owns the massive presence. What I stumbled upon is a girl, a black-haired petite girl wearing a gothic Lolita dress with blank gray eyes looking at my cerulean ones. I could feel her power greatly exceeding mine, especially her raw power, but if I were to use the Six Paths chakra, I would definitely be able to match her. With the good Odama and Six Paths Sage mode, I could definitely give her a fight if that's what she wants. Though, I would rather be civil and try to finish this without any violence if possible. I'm trying to keep a low profile after all. Who are you? I asked suspiciously. She's definitely one of the people who definitely felt my sudden flare of energy the moment I arrived here. I've tried to keep myself hidden as long as possible, and if she found me like that, I should expect others to do so soon. The cat was already enough proof of that. I gave a discerning gaze towards the petite girl as I judge her discreetly. I can feel her, housing infinite amount of energy. I also felt a sudden feeling of wanting to cause havoc and mayhem. I was prepared to make a move the moment she gave a hostile action. So I expected most hostile ones. She might pounce at me, strike me, charge at me, attack me, or even kill me, but I didn't expect for her to suddenly hug me tightly and started muttering under her breath. Home. What? I raised a brow, a little bit surprised but more interested in why did she started hugging me. Naruto-kun, I didn't expect for you to be a cradle robber. I heard the playful voice of Matatabi once again. Ignoring the teasing, I deadpanned at her. Matatabi, when will you stop teasing me? And I'm not a cradle robber. I grabbed the petite girl's shoulder before pushing her away from me. Still grabbing her shoulders, I looked at her blank gray eyes before asking. I don't understand why you did that, but first of all, who are you? An unrelenting gaze meets the blank one. She just spoke in a monotone voice as she answered my question. Ophis. Nodding as I accept her answer, I continued. Okay, Ophis. Why did you hug me? That was what I really was curious about. Why did she call me home? Isn't that easy to know, Naruto-kun? It's because you and her already had SE-. I immediately cut off my connection quickly before Matatabi could finish her sentence. I don't want a perverted demon raving nonsense inside of my mind right now. What I want are answers on why she did hug me. I returned my attention to her the moment I cut off the connection. You feel home. She spoke in an emotionless voice as I pondered on what she meant. It could probably mean a lot of things, but the most possible conclusion would be that I went into a place that she calls her home. If I recall, I was only at this town the moment I arrive at this world. I never went elsewhere. She threw away my arms which were holding her and decided to hug me again so tightly I can't even get out. I would be able to if I were to use the Six Paths chakra, though doing so would be like having a large signal saying something like, I'm here, so I gave up. Making the petite girl just do what she wants would definitely finish this faster. I see. Where is this home you're talking about? Even if I was restrained, I asked her with a curious mind. My wariness was now gone when I realized that she didn't want to fight at all. Gap. Dimensional gap. She just replied in the same emotionless voice. Dimensional gap? But I don't remember being in that kind of place. I stated to her when sudden blurry images in regarding to what the gap was suddenly sent inside of my mind. But I don't remember going there. How could it be possible? No matter how hard I struggle, she won't budge at all, so I poured normal chakra in my whole body, hoping it would be enough to shake the girl off. Fortunately, it did, and at the moment she released her hold of me, I immediately distanced myself at her, jumping for about 5 meters in front of her. I saw the petite girl Ophis, tilting her head in confusion as she started looking at me with a questioning gaze before she flicked her wrist. A long and thick black aura that was shaped like a snake appeared at her hand as she ordered it to lunge towards me. I shunshin, body flicker, backwards as I saw the snake swarming to the place where I was earlier. The snake quickly devoured the earth where I was standing earlier, leaving nothing but craggy earth which was engulfed by the snake. The only earth remaining was just a rugged surface with cracked bites of the obvious destruction. I looked at her judgingly as I saw her promptly formed 9 more snakes with much more intensity and power. She commanded the snakes to attack me with an even faster speed than before. In an instant, 9 good Odama suddenly appeared in front of me in a circular position, obliterating her snakes, stopping them from continuing their assault. I saw her expression changed when she saw her snakes getting obliterated. She blinked twice before looking at me with a disconcerting look. Her aura changed from a fighting one to a relaxed one. She just started approaching me without any guards raised. Seeing that she won't be fighting anymore, I let her approach me without doing anything. She stared at me, her gray eyes meeting my cerulean ones. She opened her mouth as her question came out. "Name?" she asked, raising her left arm as she pointed at me with a blank expression marring her face. "Naruto Namikaze. It's only appropriate I introduce mine since you said yours." I spoke sternly, pondering on whatever the petite girl was thinking right now. She's dangerous, my instincts were probably screaming that. Especially those snakes, they felt malevolent and malefic. Still, she won't be able to reach Kaguya with that level. If Gudadama could easily destroy those snakes, she won't match Kaguya, who was able to enlarge the very essence of Gudadama, making it even more dangerous than it already was. She just nodded her head when she heard my name as she walked away from me, turning her back on me as she started distancing herself away long enough. She looked at me one last time before spouting 2 sentences. "Naruto Namikaze, you will help." She spoke in a cold tone as she pointed her finger at me with a blank face. "Help? What does she mean?" As if she knew my question, she told me what she wanted with. "Kill Great Red." After that, she disappeared in the darkness provided by the forest. I could feel her presence leaving the place. Her aura instantly disappeared in the very face of the town. That was slightly disturbing. I spoke out quietly, expecting no one to answer. "I don't know much about Ophis, but she's obviously stronger than most beings in this place. And I know for sure that someone who could create malicious snakes like that isn't human, possibly a yokai? I don't know." I let out a sigh of irritation and tiredness as I spent the rest of the day, pondering on what kind of being Ophis is. Scene break. It was currently nighttime as I observed the boy who was moving around the town endlessly because of the sudden adrenaline he felt. His body really has changed, at least I can conclude that he's not an undead zombie with unlimited energy. He even has a weakness even though he was revived. It looks like I won't have to fight another Edo Tensei construct. Still, since the reviving process was not like the vile technique Nidame created, I can feel my curiosity stirring to know what kind of process she used. Though, I can feel that his lust even grew exponentially after he became inhuman. If Jiraiya were to be here, no one would bother to know the truth whether he's his child. Most of them would probably think he was due to his unbridled lust. Only someone on Jiraiya's pervertedness would do something idiotic like stating his last words as perverted. Scene break. On the other side of the dimension, Jiraiya sneezed. He was giggling pervertedly when he spoke out loud. "Is someone talking about me? I hope it's a girl, and a sexy one to boot." He was eating with the Namikaze family who were recuperating with Naruto's sudden leaving. He invited them to eat ramen to somehow try to levitate their depression. Though, He became a spluttering mess when he realized that it was Kushina who he had sneezed to and was now releasing her angry aura of death, hoping to pulverize the self-proclaimed super pervert in front of her. He immediately made a run for his life, being chased by an angry red-haired woman who had suddenly revealed a large frying pan on her hand. Scene break. As I watched the boy, I felt an inhuman presence nearing the boy's location. Even the boy felt the sudden change of atmosphere. Approaching him, the man walking in front of the boy was wearing a violet trench coat with black shoes and black pants. I could feel the same taint in him I felt on the fallen angel yesterday. Pouring chakra in my ears, I heard the conversation of the two started. "I didn't expect that you'd become a devil." The middle-aged man's face was suddenly adorning a savage smirk as he was walking towards the boy. He continued. "And to think that Rainier wasn't able to finish her job, she'll never live it out if she knew that her target was still alive." I saw the man chuckling sardonically as he spoke of the woman who probably killed the boy. He's a fallen angel. So, they really were planning to kill the boy. The boy most likely had a group of fallen angels on his tail, trying to kill him. So when they discovered him, actually alive, they probably want to kill him again. Such a shame, he gained a new life only to be killed again. "I'm sorry boy, but it seems you have to die again." The trench coat wearing man smiled cruelly as he formed a spear of light in his hand as he threw it at the boy's direction. Possibly, through sheer luck or skill, I saw the boy dodging the spear of light which was hurled at his torso, rolling on the ground. I was mildly impressed. Why? Because someone who obviously had no experience was able to dodge an attack aimed to kill him swiftly. Though, I saw the boy getting skewered by another spear of light from behind. The boy let out a grunt of pain as he collapsed on the ground while trying to remove the spear of light embedded on his stomach. The middle-aged man continued on approaching the boy while speaking at him. "I will have to know whether you truly are dead. We don't want you escaping now again, do we?" Once again, I felt the inhuman presence came from the boy when a sudden circle of intricate inscriptions emerged from him. The same woman with her crimson-like blood hair manifested from the circle. With her graceful poise and elegant smile, she spoke towards the middle-aged man. "I hope that you do not touch him, he's my servant after all. It seems that I don't have to intervene after all. The girl would never let the boy get killed when she just revived him." I saw the recognition lit up on the man's eyes and he spoke out loud at the girl. "Crimson hair, Rias Gremory, I presume?" he asked with a slight wariness along with excitement boiling on him. His posture shows that he's ready to fight if one starts. "So you know who I am, then you should also know that you're trespassing my territory. This city is in my jurisdiction after all," the girl stated with a tone of irritation, coating her voice. "If she's really the owner of this territory, shouldn't she have been alerted by my presence quickly? Perhaps she's a little bit arrogant and a spoiled princess. Most of the time when one shows his or her attitude, that appearance is nothing but a facade. I guess the same can be said for her. I didn't think that the boy would get reincarnated as your servant. Anyway, I'm leaving. I hope we do not meet again, Rias Gremory." The man revealed his black wings as he started to flap them and flew away, disappearing as in the darkened sky. The crimson-haired woman smiled sweetly at the boy who was sprawled in the ground, in his own pool of blood again. She reached out on the boy's body as she spoke. "I'll save you again." The same circle from earlier materialized again, but before she disappeared, she looked around the vicinity trying to find someone. Coincidentally, the both of our eyes met, though she dismissed me as nothing important and left before muttering something. "I can't find anyone no matter what I do, and Kaneko can't be lying. She said that she could feel someone watching me." That made me raise an eyebrow. So this Kaneko was able to sense me even though I completely blended in nature? If she did, she must have been a senjutsu user like the cat. Yeah, like the fucking cat. Her red circle disappeared, she slowly dematerialized along with the boy, and red circle dissipated only to be replaced by the same one. Did she forget something? Those were my line of thoughts, until I felt a different presence looming on the circle. This is different. It's the same inhuman presence, but it's not her, it's someone else. I saw the same crimson hair, though this time it's a man who was accompanied by a silver-haired maid. Even if he's hiding it, I could feel the crimson-haired man's hidden power tantamount to the power I have right now. He's powerful, but he's not on my level should I use any of my trump cards. The silver-haired woman was the same inhuman presence as the crimson-haired one. They started to observe the park where the boy died. As they look at the whole place, the woman spoke out. Sasuke-sama, are you sure that the one stalking Rias-sama would still be here? She asked in a firm and stern manner. It looks like she didn't know I was here. The crimson-haired man named Sasuke replied at her. At least that's what I think, Grafia. Rias wouldn't lie to me like that, especially if it would be concerning about her safety. She said that her rook, which is a senjutsu user even if she is crippled, sensed someone near her, watching and observing her. He discreetly looked at every nook and cranny. I was correct, they really did have a senjutsu user, and to think it would be a complete one as well. I was thinking and pondering on those thoughts until he spotted me, looking directly at my eyes with an unrelenting gaze. This is what I was afraid of, someone with experience equaling or exceeding mine, because if they did, they would be able to detect me. While my presence might be disappear, I was still there. If they realized that something was wrong, they would immediately be able to spot me. Interesting, why can't I feel you yet I can see you at the same time? The man asked me curiously while the silver-haired woman named Grafia was still confused at what the man said. She was looking at my direction and she was not able to feel anything. This might be a good opportunity to learn about information regarding to the state of the world. I need to know how these beings operate in the world, and as much as possible, avoid them. I released my diluting technique and started to make my presence known. The silver-haired woman looked shocked when she felt my presence suddenly became heavy and substantial. I can see cautiousness in the both of their eyes. They must have felt my power and they had no choice but to be completely wary. I don't have to tell you. I answered in a cold tone as I faced off directly the crimson-haired man. He just smiled as he reached out his hand, making a handshake gesture, waiting for me to shake his hand. He introduced himself as he spoke in a sophisticated manner. Good evening, I am Sasuke Lucifer and the woman behind me is Grafia Lucifuge. I did not shake his hand and just decided to introduce myself. I'm only introducing myself since you did as well. Naruto Namikaze. I finished sternly as I continued. Now, what do you want with me? Author's note, cliffhanger? I don't know, this is my first time doing it. Anyway, I hope you guys enjoyed that. While some of you might be mad with the power levels, I appreciate it if you guys just don't be bothered about it too much and just read the FIC. Or even think that my DxD verse is a lot stronger than the normal one. I hope you guys follow, and review. Especially constructive reviews, since I want to improve this story as much as possible. If you guys have any questions, PM it to me or post it as reviews. That's all, see you next chapter. Unexpected meetings, once again. Author's note, I thank you guys for the follows, and reviews. I don't probably have much to say, so I'll move on to my replies on regarding your questions, inquiries and such. The deranged piggy, I'm sorry about that, so forgive me. I'm still a new writer and all, so I'm finding every faults I had to improve my story. I'll try doing so, but don't expect too much. And if you have a suggestions or constructive criticisms that would help the story, I'll be glad to hear them. As far no, regarding the pairing, it won't be a single pairing and it won't be a mass harem. At best, there would only be 3 girls paired up with him. REVNOFSITHLORD, to be honest, I don't want my Naruto to join any faction, but if it would come to that, I guess it would be depending on the story development. Remix, Naruto is not cold or something like that, he's just unfriendly. The DxD characters just need to break his cold attitude, after that he'll still be a jerk sometimes, but he'll become friends with them, somewhat, I suppose. Review noob. Truth be told, I want to improve both of my writing, the 3RD person and the 1SD person, but I give up. I'll return to 3RD person point of view. I think that my writing is better that way anyway. Master user, thanks a lot for the constructive review. I'm glad you liked Naruto's different personality from normal. But it'll probably change since he'll be surrounded by characters from DxD whom he'll interact. But even so, I hope you continue reading. Belnan, Naruto is powerful, even more so than Sasuke, but he is not underestimating him. He just didn't feel the true extent of Sasuke's power. He thought that Sasuke's strength is what it is. Disclaimer: I don't own anything. P.S. I'm giving up on the first-person point of view, it's hard. So, I hope you'll enjoy the third-person point of view instead. I'm sorry for the slight disturbance. Chapter 4, Unexpected Meetings, once again. No. Naruto rejected Sasuke as he tried to shoo him away from his house. Naruto's house was not even a house, it was just a shack with nothing fancy, just built with logs of trees, and it was located in the forest behind the school grounds of the Kuo Academy. At least that was until Sasuke renovated the whole place. He doesn't know how, but Sasuke did. And Naruto placed numerous seals just for people to avoid the place. But no matter how hard he tried to block Sasuke's presence in the house, it doesn't work. Sasuke always uses his technique where he can annihilate everything to nothing on the seals he had placed, which were invisible, were subtle, were hidden, and were durable. But, I want your hand as an ally. He whined pathetically as he just slumped his shoulder, crying comically. His maid, Graphia, was just standing at his side, making a face towards Naruto that obviously looks like an apologetic. Ever since Naruto's first meeting with him 2 days ago went from good to downright horrible, he never stopped bothering him, wanting him as part of the devil's ally. Flashback. Now, what do you want with me? Naruto asked as he gave a scrutinizing gaze at Sasuke, who was just smiling nonchalantly. The maid, who was named Graphia, was just shifting at his side worriedly when she sensed Naruto's power. He looked at the maid, who was looking back, seeing only a stony cold expression which could match Itachi's stoic countenance. His thoughts were broken when Sasuke's voice brought him back to reality. Well then, Naruto-san, why were you observing Rias, my sister? Sasuke asked seriously as he made his own power known. He could discern a malicious energy coating his whole body as he felt him becoming one with it, just like how a sage becomes one with nature. The ground shook loudly as cracks started appearing in the ground, with him in the center, as if he was the eye of the storm with destructive power surrounding him. Everything the malicious energy touches becomes nothing, literally nothing. It was like how the good Adama functions. They both obliterate everything into nothing, and even subatomic particles are destroyed without any form of retaliation. Naruto don't know the extent of his ability, but right now, his threat level just rose up next to the office in his blacklist. If he could control that unstable form of malicious energy, then it might be possible for him to match good Adama. Still, Naruto have his own form of destructive ability as well. Sasuke seems shocked that he ignored his power. You don't have to show your hostility, I'm just judging her threat level. He seems confused when Naruto spoke. He wondered why. Doesn't he know that her sister can revive anyone easily? Unless he have that kind of power as well. What do you mean? With your power, I don't think she can be one. He asked worriedly when Naruto mentioned that he was measuring his sister's possibility of being a risk. She can revive anyone, doesn't that mean something to you? If she can easily do that non-stop, then I would have to start annihilating every single one of the dead she's raised. His oppressive aura and power from earlier diminished completely, and his face gave a relaxed expression as he started chortling, without any stop, while covering his mouth to hide himself from being noticed, though Naruto obviously saw that. He only did stop when his maid just smacked him in the head in a defeated manner. He rubbed his head sheepishly as he muttered an apology towards his maid. He turned his attention at Naruto as he spoke while giving a friendly smile. Sorry about that. It was because you were wrong at your assumption towards my sister. I assure you, she's no threat. And if there was one, it would be me. He flashed a dangerous smile in his face. He continued. You seem to know about the supernatural in general, but you don't know what we devils do. Naruto just gave a nod as he resumed speaking. You see, there was a great war that happened between the Bible faction itself. There were three sides: the angel, the fallen angel, and the devils. And after the war, most of the devils participating in the war died. So, the devils were heading in a road of extinction. To solve that problem, a friend of mine devised a way to bring back our race by reincarnating humans to become devils. That solution is called evil pieces. Do you know what chess is? He asked him, in which he just gave a shake of his head. Smiling with satisfaction, he continued. The evil pieces were based on chess itself, and chess contains 16 pieces. 8 pawns, 2 bishops, 2 rooks, 2 knights, the queen, and lastly the king. He paused as he let Naruto take in the information he just stated. So, these evil pieces are 16 in total, so you devils can only resurrect someone 16 times? Naruto concluded as Sasuke just looked shocked, before smiling in return. I'm surprised you deduced it that easily. But you're right, though you're quite wrong as well. We devils cannot resurrect the same person twice, only once. And the evil pieces doesn't really revolves on the resurrection of humans, since we can reincarnate someone to become a devil even if they are not dead yet. Another thing to note is that when we devils reincarnate someone, the value differs. A good example would be a human who would usually be worth a single piece, but if they were stronger than what they look like, then another piece may be used. He nodded as he took in the information. If that was really the case, then the girl was not really a threat. Since the reincarnation process of these devils differ from the Edo Tensei. The threat is the devil's race itself, but for as long as they do not bother him, then he'll leave them be just as they should leave him be. But now that he knew that the Bible and the ones written in it exists in reality, then the number of the beast exists as well. I see. Then mention to your sister that her stalker will stop following her and say that the stalker gives an apology as well. Naruto bowed his head slightly before raising it back as he heard Sasuke replied. Don't worry, I'll do just that. Thanks a lot for the information. If that's all, I'll take my leave. But before I do so, since you beings that were mentioned in the Bible really do exist, does that mean the number of the beast exists as well? When Naruto spoke of that, the atmosphere immediately became tense and he could see fear in Sasuke's and the maid's face. You're right. Naruto Namikaze. A familiar childlike female voice spoke, breaking the silence in the park. Naruto saw Ophis coming out of the darkness as she revealed her whole petite figure. Sasuke and Graphia were both high-strung and were ready to take action should Ophis approach with hostility. What do you want now, Ophis? He asked, in which Ophis just replied. Someone reported to me. Naruto just tilted his head in confusion as she continued. You'll be helping me. Not them. She pointed at the two behind him. A barrier enclosed the whole vicinity as he felt Ophis' vast amount of power inside of her burst, encompassing everything in the park. The trees fell down, a violent earthquake ensued, destroyed the brittle ground as cracks and crevices appeared, obliterating the whole park. Thankfully, Naruto already activated his 6 paths chakra, allowing him to take flight as he remained floating in the air, and when he looked down, he can see a bottomless pit, replacing the ground. A small fear crept up on him as he thought of deactivating his 6 paths chakra, rendering his flight ability. He shook those thoughts as he saw Ophis floating as well, approaching him slowly, and he remembered about Sasuke and his maid. Naruto looked behind him and saw the two having bat-like wings attached in their backs. They were sweating nervously from the power Ophis just showcased, and all of a sudden, 2 hostile forms of malefic energy shaped like large snakes came out of the bottomless pit, attacked the 2 devils behind him. He felt the same technique Sasuke used earlier, but this time it was even more dangerous, and the two snakes making their way towards Surzex, and the maid was annihilated into nothing. Surzex just stood in front of his maid as he grabbed the two snakes on its necks as if it was solid before crushing it with his hands, his energy traveling through the snakes before it dissipated. Ophis just looked at Surzex appraisingly before speaking in monotone. "I'll take you as well. Surzex Lucifer. I'll have to decline, Dragon God." He spoke seriously as the maid besides him earlier was no longer there. He saw her at the very edge of the barrier flying with her wings, really far from Surzex. Naruto could see her nervous and alarmed expression from the power Surzex was producing, but most of all, he could see the fear etched in her face as she looked at Ophis. "We're not even here for a week yet and you're already causing trouble, aren't you?" He heard Azura's voice echoing in his head as he sighed tiredly at him. "It's not me. It's the child in front of me," Naruto retorted as he pointed at Ophis, who was just looking at him with a blank face. "Naruto, that's not a child. If you could feel her life force, she's even beyond 1,000 years. Shut it, Azura. I don't need your smart-ass comments now. Sheesh. Relax. I suggest you should escape with your father's technique. Just like you said earlier, you were supposed to keep a low profile. Though, with your power, that's impossible." Azura thought as he just shrugged off Naruto's chiding as he gave him a good suggestion. "Even if you don't like to use your father's technique, it would be the best option of doing in this situation." He was contemplating on whether using his father's signature move when Ophis appeared in front of him, looking at him with a blank face, though he could see curiosity in her eyes. "Why do you have 7 entities with power equaling or exceeding the heavenly dragons inside of you?" He backed off as he made a large distance away from her, standing side by side with Surzex. "How did she know that? I am Ophis, the dragon god who represents infinity, chaos and nothingness. Naruto Namikaze. Surzex Lucifer. You two will help me kill Great Red. This is bad. Unless I go all out, I can't match Ophis. I need to stall for time if I want to escape. Son Goku, Shikaku. I'll borrow a little bit of your chakra. Go." Son Goku responded quickly. "Fine." Shikaku just gave a small grunt as he saw the both of them nodding inside of his mind. 2 clones formed besides Naruto as he gave them a little bit of Son Goku and Shikaku's chakra. He saw Surzex with a look of surprise in his face when he saw Naruto's clones making a dash towards the Dragon God. Ophis was just standing there, waiting for any forms of retaliation to come from the both of them. The 2 clones jumped as they were approaching Ophis before 2 spheres form in their right hand. The red sphere on the first clone expanded as the blades appeared, encircling the sphere as it continuously emitted steam. He could see Surzex looking shocked from the intensity of the sphere as it exudes heat non-stop. There was a brown sphere expanding on the other clone's hand. Similar blades appeared as well, encircling the sphere. One could see various marks appearing on the sphere as it was thrown at Ophis herself. Senpa, Jiden Raisin Shuriken. Sage Art, Magnet Release, Spiraling Shuriken. The massive brown sphere with countless wind blades was thrown at Ophis. They could hear the screeching sound. It made as if it was grinding against metal before it became larger as it exploded with unstoppable magnitude. Surzex saw Ophis being swallowed by the huge sphere as if she was being devoured without any form of mercy. He would have felt a pity for such a child to receive a destructive attack, but the child was no child, it was the Dragon God. He saw the other clone still floating in midair as it threw the huge lava sphere at Ophis. Senpa, Yotan Raisin Shuriken. Sage Art, Lava Release, Spiraling Shuriken. Surzex saw the massive lava-infused nucleus being hurled at Ophis, burning and lacerating everything it passes through. He even saw the air being cut by the blades which was encircling the sphere as it expanded before exploding as if it was a devastating eruption coming from a volcano. Naruto immediately reached for his pocket as he took out 3 talismans with his Hiraishin-modified seals embedded in it as he threw the other 2 in Sasuke's and Graphia's direction. The 2 of them grabbed the seals as they look at Naruto with a wary expression. He wasn't able to speak as the explosion died out, and the smoke cleared out revealing an unwounded Ophis, though her clothes were completely tattered. Impressive. Naruto Namikaze. Ophis spoke as Naruto saw something else in Ophis' face besides an emotionless one. It was a smiling face. When he saw the cursed marks spreading in Ophis, he immediately activated the seals engraved in the talisman. He could feel the pull happening, and in an instant, the 3 of them were now in his shack, which was located in a forest. Naruto saw a dumbfounded look in Sasuke's and his maid's face before the maid started speaking, her expression back to the stony cold look. "Where are we?" The maid was observing the surroundings as she saw nothing impressive. The room was made of wood, a simple table made of wood with a flower vase atop of it, 2 chairs made of the same material were aligned in the table, a bookshelf with not even a single book in it, and a white bed made of soft cotton. Though, she looked at the place with an appraisal look when she saw the simplicity yet the cleanliness of the room. "You're in my house," Naruto stated as 2 cups of water appeared in his hand as he placed it in the table. "Here, have some water." He offered the 2 cups of water as another cup appeared on his hand, though, the contents was coffee instead. He started drinking as he made his way towards his bed as he sat on it, waiting for the other 2's response. He urged the other 2, Graphia and Sasuke, to sit in the chair. They promptly complied. When the both of them were seated, Sasuke grabbed one of the cups of water, sitting in the table as he looked at it judgingly. Graphia took the other one as well as she appraised it before drinking on it. Graphia tested the water as she spoke at Sasuke. "Sasuke-sama, don't worry, the water is safe." He just smiled as he drank as well. Graphia was looking at Naruto attentively before she asked. "Naruto-sama, if I may ask, where did you get the cup of water?" "You don't need to know that." Naruto just retorted back in monotone, making Graphia frown from the blatant refusal. Though, she held on as Sasuke just smiled at her maid as she just let Sasuke do the speaking. "Naruto-san, now that I've seen your power, I can tell that you're a threat." He spoke seriously, making Naruto narrow his eyes at the crimson-haired man as he replied. "You're a threat as well," he pointed out as he gave an unflinching gaze at Sasuke. Sasuke just continued. "Indeed. Still, I would like this to be solved in a civilized manner. To keep it short, I want you." Sasuke just smiled as he spoke. "I don't swing that way," Naruto retorted immediately as he continued sipping on his coffee. Graphia just sighed as she smacked Sasuke again, making Sasuke smiled as he ignored Naruto's crude criticism. "I know. What I meant is that I want you to ally yourself with devils." "No. If that's all, then you should leave, there's the door." He pointed at the wooden there besides the bookshelf. Sasuke never faltered as he spoke. "We can offer you anything you want. Riches, fame, glory, territory, even the evil pieces if you want." Sasuke and Graphia drank the last drop of water as Sasuke finished offering. "No, thank you. I'm fine with my life." Naruto rejected the offer as he continued. "Riches, don't need it. Fame, I already have it back to where I came from. The same could be said with glory. And I don't want any power pertaining to resurrection and such." Naruto finished as he made the cup of coffee and water disappeared. That startled Sasuke, though Graphia was a different story. She was a maid after all. For someone like her who was held responsible for chores and such, it was intolerable. She just looked at Naruto with her freezing gaze. Though, Naruto ignored it. "I see. Then, I'll ask. What do you want, Naruto-san?" He smiled as he gave another question. Naruto just replied simply, It's none of your business. He saw the unrelenting look from Surzex as he sighed. You can't have my power as part of your faction, but we can reach an agreement where I don't bother your kind as long as your kind does not bother me. Don't worry, I don't plan on wreaking havoc in this place. I just want to live in peace. Naruto offered back. I see. Surzex just stood up as his face scrunched up in an unreadable expression. He smiled as he spoke. It may have been a rough evening for the both of us, but still, a pleasure meeting you, Naruto-san. Naruto just gave a courteous nod in return. By the way, can I call you Naruto instead? It's fine. Thanks. Then, we're leaving. Naruto saw the same complicated array of inscriptions in the circle as the two devils disappeared in bits of red light. He just lay down in his bed in a tired state as he closed his eyes. Scene break. When the two devils, Graphia and Surzex, arrived back in the underworld, Graphia asked. Surzex-sama. Is it fine to leave such a strong potential enemy alone? She asked worriedly. She witnessed the power Naruto used against Office. The two techniques called Senpo, Yotan Raisin Shuriken, and the Senpo, Jiten Raisin Shuriken, has the destructive power enough to match ultimate class devils. The attack itself was bordering Mao class, yet the two of them knew that Naruto was still holding back a lot of power on the two techniques. Surzex, sensing Graphia's disturbed feeling, just smiled at her as he replied. Don't worry about him, Graphia. I saw in his eyes someone who faced the horrors of war. He would want peace rather than chaos. I know that, since that's what I want as well. The two of them felt another presence closing in as it revealed Ajuka Beelzebub. Did you discover the source of the large power? Ajuka asked Surzex, who just nodded. Yes. It was coming from a man named Naruto Namikaze. But I don't suggest if you investigate him. Surzex advised Ajuka, who was just wondering to what Surzex said. What do you mean? If he's a threat, shouldn't we do something against him? Surzex just shook his head when he heard that. He won't like it if he knew. And just like what I told Graphia, don't worry about him. I reached an agreement with him where as long we devils don't bother him, he won't bother us. Is that enough? Ajuka inquired him. Yeah. He's not a threat as long as we devils don't declare war at him or something like that. Surzex spoke nonchalantly as he shrugged off Ajuka's worries. He just nodded his head when he heard Surzex reply. Okay, then what about his power? When he spoke of that, Graphia and Surzex tensed up, which didn't go unnoticed at Ajuka's eyes. Surzex just sighed as he explained things. You see. Flashback end. It has been 2 days ever since Ophis, the dragon god, made a mess in the park. The next day after Ophis destroyed the park, leaving nothing but crevices and cracks, along with a bottomless pit. The media in this world immediately made the topic as a supernatural occurrence, but they didn't know that they were right. The surroundings of the bottomless pit immediately went under construction. They planned on having the pit become a tourist attraction since it was a freak incident ere the park was decimated down to its very core in less than 8 hours. Right now, most people who were spotted near the vicinity were now being questioned if they knew what happened. And Naruto was currently in his house, while being bothered by Surzex, whom he learned was supposed to be one of the strongest devils in the underworld besides other 3 people. In the underworld, they were called Yondaimao. Along with Surzex Lucifer, Ajuka Beelzebub, the creator of evil pieces, Seraphol Leviathan, and Falbium Asmodeus, the 4 completely made the Yondaimao. Since Surzex renovated the whole place, it was now a 3-story house with a basement below. The first floor was the living room with the kitchen and the dining room. The second floor was Naruto's room and a couple of guest rooms, all of them equipped with a small bathroom inside. The third floor was Naruto's hobby room or such, he just made it into his storage room. The basement had his training ground, a hot spring. Surzex, stop bothering me. And what am I supposed to do with the kitchen, when I rarely cook? What am I supposed to do with the dining room which had a dining table capable of occupying 10 people, and why is my living room so large it can house more than 20 people, and why do I need a hot spring on the basement? Naruto stated at Surzex as he looked at the paper he was holding in his hand, as he looked at the new blueprints of his shack which turned into a small hotel. Well, maybe you can find a chef. As for the dining room, who knows, you may invite other people sometimes for dinner. As for your living room, maybe you'll hold a party in this house someday. Naruto could feel both of his eyes twitching uncontrollably as he heard Surzex continued. As for the guest rooms, maybe someone would start living with you sometime in the future. As for the hot springs, isn't it obvious that you should love hot springs? He asked me with glee covering his face. Surzek's maid, Graphia, was still besides him, with a face, truly matching Itachi's stoic expression. The difference? Graphia made it clear in her eyes that she was enjoying Naruto's distraught. Why did you even renovated my place, when I clearly stated 2 days ago that I didn't want anything you were offering? Naruto asked as he put anger in his voice, obviously making it clear that he was irritated from the blatant show of offers Surzex was doing. Surzex just shook his head as he replied. Naruto, I did not do this for you to accept any alliances coming from the devils. I gave this to you as a token of my appreciation for saving both me and my maid, Graphia. Naruto could hear the sincerity coming from Surzex as he continued. Just like you, the dragon god Ophis was after me. She made it clear that night, didn't she? And you didn't have any obligation to save me, much less, Graphia, yet you still did. This, my friend, is just to show you how much I appreciate you doing saving both of us. Don't worry about the alliance, like you said, you won't bother my kin for as long as they don't bother you. He finished, in which Naruto just sighed in defeat as he muttered. Whatever. Naruto continued. While I appreciate your token of gratitude, please change my house back when you have time. Is that all? He asked as he looked at Surzex, who just nodded his head. Yes. That's all. Once again, Naruto, thanks a lot for saving me and Graphia. After the greeting, he left with his silver-haired maid, disappearing in the same red circle he was now familiar with. When did I become your friend? Naruto spoke out loud to no one as he placed the new seals in the renovated house, at least until Surzex decides to change the place back. Seals that would hide his house and seals that would detect and throw away intruders. Scene break. After Ophis assaulted the town, he felt the inhuman presence which he identified as the devil's presence in the town increased by 1. There were also a lot of the tainted presence which he deduced as the fallen angel's presence grouping at the upper part of the town, which was the church. He was really contemplating on to deciding to investigate the church or not, since if those murder-happy beings were flocking together, it might be possible for them to be planning something, especially since Naruto knew from Surzex that the Kuo was pronounced as his sister's territory officially. Then there's no way for a lot of them to go here, since the 3 factions were currently on a ceasefire. After making up his mind, Naruto decided to inform Surzek's sister and he would go to the school later in the evening. It was afternoon when he spotted a blonde-haired girl sitting near the fountain being surrounded by 5 delinquents who obviously decided to play with the girl. The people passing by were just ignoring the helpless girl as she was frantically panicking from the attention she was getting from the 5 goons. Why are the humans passing through the fountain is just ignoring the girl? Naruto heard Azura furiously exclaimed at his mind as he decided to appease the angry man. It's just that they don't want to involve themselves at others' business. Naruto spoke at the angry man was still angry. Humans in this dimension are heartless. Azura scoffed as he sneered at the humans who were just ignoring the clumsy girl. Aren't the humans back there at Elemental Nations the same? I retorted. At least, some of them have a heart of gold. If one were to see something like that, they'll help the person. Unlike here. Really? As far as I recall, when I was subjected to discrimination in Konoha, no one helped me there. Bah. It's just misplaced hatred, no need to be so bitter. Whatever. Naruto's mood turned sour when Azura spoke of the people back there just like that. It's fine if I became their outlet just because it was nothing but misplaced hatred? I don't think so. Naruto's thoughts were halted when Azura interrupted him. Well, aren't you going to help her? He asked Naruto, who was just surprised of that. Why should I? Naruto asked as he mentally tilted his head in confusion. He heard Azura sighing before he pleaded out a request. Just help the poor girl. Naruto ignored him as Azura just groaned in frustration. Please. That's all you needed to say. Naruto smiled thinly as he saw a mental image of Azura sighing tiredly before he returned his attention at the poor girl who was now being forcefully dragged away from the fountain. He approached the 5 delinquents and the blonde girl as he made his way towards them. And when he was there, he immediately slapped away the left hand of the delinquent who was grabbing the blonde's right arm. Don't touch her, she's my sister. Naruto declared as he gave a blank stare at the delinquent who grabbed the blonde girl's arm as he positioned himself with the blonde girl behind him. He saw the straight long blonde hair, making its way down to the girl's waist. The emerald green eyes of the girl and the nun outfit she was wearing. Is that the best excuse you have? Azura held back a snort which didn't go unnoticed on Naruto as he scowled mentally before retorting back. Shut it, Azura. You told me to help her and that's the thanks I get? You don't even have her name. Azura chuckled as Naruto ignored him, returning his attention at the delinquent who was glaring back at him. The delinquent just glared as he tried to make his presence intimidating before speaking. Your sister said she wants to go with us, so you should go away, Ni-san. He spat the word brother mockingly as Naruto just looked at the delinquent blankly. He ignored the delinquent as he tried to drag the blonde nun with his right hand but she resisted. Who are you? You're not my brother. She tilted her head in confusion as she resisted from Naruto's pull. Azura was laughing at the scene with amusement as he just tried to stop his laughs by covering his mouth. Unfortunately, his laughs were still leaking out of him. Naruto's eyebrow twitched in annoyance from the remark she got from the nun and the laugh Azura was making. The delinquent caught on Naruto's act as he barked out of him. You stealin' her from us, you bastard? Naruto exhaled tiredly as he grabbed the nun and carried her in a bridal position before speaking. Your Ni-san is taking you away from the bad people. He deadpanned at the girl while looking at her directly, making her finally understand what he was doing. Ah! A light bulb comically appeared at the top of her head as she realized the act. Do you think you're some hero who saves a princess? Other one of the delinquent roared angrily as he rushed at Naruto who was holding the nun with the both of his hands. Idiots! He jumped as he dodged the delinquent and then stepped at the rushing delinquent a little bit hard, forcing the delinquent to slam in the ground violently, making him go unconscious. The other 4 rushed at him at the same time as he dodged the first one by sidestepping, before slamming his foot at the delinquent's side forcefully, making him flew backwards a little, colliding with another delinquent. The other 2 stopped, looking surprised since Naruto was still holding the girl but was still able to fight, yet they rushed in, thinking they can take the man who was occupied with the both of his hands. Don't hurt them too much, Ni-san. The blonde girl whispered at him, that made Naruto just sigh before returning his attention at the currently rushing idiotic delinquents. Fine. He muttered, which made the blonde nun smile cheerfully. He kicked the small rubble on the ground, making it fly towards the delinquent's face who was rushing at him faster than the other one. As the delinquent groaned in pain from being assaulted unexpectedly by the rubble, he tripped the man, making him fall in the ground. After that, he saw the last delinquent halting his charge as he looked at his companions. Through idiotic means or whatever, the delinquent abandoned all reasoning as he looked pissed, charging at Naruto as he took out a butterfly knife on his pocket, grinning savagely. You bastard! He attacked with the knife which was pointed at the blonde girl, slung on both of Naruto's arm as she looked scared, letting out a small squeal of meep. He skidded backwards as he made a small distance at the rushing man, before rushing in for the momentum. He saw the knife was used to attack him amateurishly as he raised his left feet high, blocking the knife with his shoe as he put his weight on his foot, making the man who was still holding the knife dropped it from the heaviness of Naruto's foot. Naruto dropped his foot as he saw the delinquent trembling before kicking him lightly in the stomach, making the delinquent groan in pain as he held his stomach. If one were to look at the scene, they would see a blonde-haired man wearing an unzipped brown jacket with white-fitted t-shirt and blue jeans while carrying a blonde-haired girl wearing a nun outfit in a bridal position and a running fountain as background while they were basking in the sunset, as 5 delinquents were sprawled in the ground, defeated. It made the observers passing through clapped as they applauded the blonde-haired man who was now sighing in annoyance from the attention he was currently getting. Though, the blonde-haired nun was just blushing as she gave an innocent smile. Kaya. He's so cool. I wish I was the one he was carrying. He's amazing. Naruto heard girly squeals coming from the observers before he saw non-stop flashes of light raining on him, and the blonde girl, Naruto annoyed, just screamed out on them. Go away. This isn't a show. He shooed them away as they bowed in apology before muttering things like young love and such. The girls were just squealing as they went away, still waving at him. A man wearing a blue uniform approached the both of them as he asked, "This is the police, can you two come with me?" Azura in his mind was still laughing along with Matatabi. He just rubbed a hand on his temple as he sighed tiredly from the annoyance everywhere, outside and inside. He was lucky that most of the tailed beasts are always sleeping, or even most of them would have teased him non-stop. Scene break. It was evening when the two of them got out of the police station. They were making their way towards the church since that was where the blonde nun named Asia was supposed to go. He turned his attention towards the girl who was munching cookies happily as she blinked twice when Naruto called her. "Are you going to be fine by yourself now?" he asked as he looked at her. When they reached the road leading to the church, he narrowed his eyes on the church that can now be sighted from their distance. That was where he felt the fallen angels flocking in. He didn't believe that the girl would be associated with the kill-happy beings inside the church, but seeing that she stated herself that the church was where she was supposed to go, he relented. He doesn't usually help people just like that, even if it was a plea coming from his peace-preaching tenant, but he could feel the innocence she was radiating, so he did really want that kind of innocence to stay pure. Unlike him, who was forced to face the horrors of ninjas, when all he wanted before was nothing but happiness, she should enjoy her happiness for as long as it lasts. He felt nothing but pity on her. Even Azura agreed with him on that one, because sooner or later she would see how the world isn't only white, since she was affiliated with those tainted beings. Asia just nodded at him as she wiped the crumbs on her face with a tissue given earlier in the police station. When she finished eating her remaining cookies, she replied, "Yes, Naruto-san. Thanks a lot for the help." Naruto stopped walking as she just continued doing so, and after walking a couple more steps that just distanced them more. The blonde-haired nun looked back. "I hope that we meet again, Naruto-san. May the Lord be with you." She smiled serenely before fading in the darkness that was leading to the church. When Asia was no longer there, he turned around as he started walking away from the church before he looked one more time, this time glaring at the darkness where he felt someone observing him. The glaring contest stayed for a couple of seconds before he felt the presence disappeared, prompting him to walk away from the church. Scene break. The next day, he was jolted awake when he felt someone tampering with his seals, which were hidden well outside the renovated house. Quickly fixing himself, he took a fitted white shirt in his wardrobe and a simple brown jeans. He immediately made his way down in front of the house. When he opened the door of the house, he saw 4 people outside of his house. Fortunately, they did not saw him since the house was hidden with the nature energy itself, becoming one with nature itself, making them think that it was just a part of nature. He observed the 4 people, and saw a young man with short black hair wearing a fitted armor, a long black-haired woman with hazel gold eyes and a voluptuous figure wearing a black kimono, a blonde-haired man with spectacles wearing a business suit, and a girl with lengthy blonde hair and blue eyes, wearing a witch outfit, he didn't know. Though, where have I seen that hazel gold eyes and felt the same senjutsu from the cat? Naruto looked at the one with hazel gold eyes discerningly as he shrugged it off before turning off the seal, making them surprise at the suddenly revealed three-story house in front of them. But what startled them was Naruto, who was looking at them with a glare that made all of them nervous. The blonde-haired girl let out a small "eep" as she hid behind the man wearing a business suit. His voice echoed through the silent forest, breaking the stemming silence as they started sweating from the obvious show of Naruto's power. "Why are you tampering with my talismans?" He spoke in an emotionless tone as he looked at the blonde-haired girl who was trembling, very scared at Naruto's eyes which were glaring daggers at her. There was an aura of a huge fierce-looking blue cat behind him, making his aura very oppressive and dangerous to them. "Please don't scare my sister," the spectacles-wearing blonde asked in a nervous yet polite tone as he adjusted his glasses. "Maybe I won't if she didn't try to touch my seals." Naruto responded in a sarcastic tone, which obviously noted that he was angry, making the blonde-haired girl let out a squeal of "eep" once again before she fainted from the oppressive aura of the cat behind him. "Nyahaha." Luffy-chan fainted. She spoke in a playful manner. Yet it could be heard that she was nervous from the oppressive presence Naruto was making. Her easygoing manner was broken when she felt Naruto's glare boring through her very body as she just let out a nervous sigh. "Chill. Chill. Blondie. We didn't come here to fight," the black-haired man pleaded as he shook both of his hands in denial. He let out a sigh of relief when the cat behind Naruto disappeared and Naruto just retorted to him. "First of all, don't call me Blondie. I hate that blasted nickname." He sighed as he opened the door to his house, urging the four of them, one unconscious, to come in. "Second, I don't want to deal with this shit with an empty stomach, so come in." He led them towards the living room, making them sit on the Victorian-style sofas, courtesy of Surzex of course. And he went to the kitchen as he made 4 cups of coffee as he placed them on a silver platter, before going back to the living room, placing the 4 cups of coffee in the table which was between the 3 sofas. The unconscious girl from earlier was now drinking the coffee meekly, though she gave a sigh of bliss as she drank the coffee. The coffee was made with Banbutsu Sozo after all. What would it be besides the best? Thanks to that, Naruto can easily create drinks, foods, meals, cuisines, desserts, and whatever it is without any effort besides exerting a little bit of yin and yang chakra. The business suit-wearing blonde man commented on the coffee. "This coffee is good. It's even better than what Luffy makes. And from what I've tasted, Luffy makes the best drinks and food I've ever tasted." He complimented Naruto, which just ignored him, since the blonde just continued. "What kind of ingredients do you use in it?"